Played at Oakland yesterday after hosting the Phillies on Sunday night. Ryan Blaney won the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The race had been postponed from Sunday due to inclement weather. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home of the Titans and Balls. This is 104.5 The Zone.
What is up, fine people? It is a, kind of cloudy, but should be beautiful Tuesday morning here in Middle Tennessee, alongside our 11-year veteran, our Vol for Life. It is Ramon Foster.
Yay!
Behind the glass, in the shadows, but here, it is Bert Hopkinson and Jonathan Schaefer, the best producer in the world.
In the world, Craig.
And I'm Kayla Anderson. I'm filling in for Will Bowling, who is getting some much-needed time off. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will. How is everybody doing today? And wow, how'd everybody do over the long weekend? I feel refreshed.
I do too.
Ready to go?
Yeah, I do too. You're right. We'll get a couple of days off, Kayla. Much needed, first and foremost. The dude has been running like we all do a lot of stuff. You do stuff outside of here. I do stuff outside of here. Will really does stuff outside of here. So him getting this little mini break, man, hats off to the guy for having the mindset to say, hey, you know what? I need to just crash out for a little bit.
Exactly. Maybe he's tuning in because I do believe it is a staycation.
Yeah, for sure.
We, of course, are powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasons.com/Nashville. You can always follow us live on Zone TV. We love to chat with y'all. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch on that platform. And follow us on Twitter at Ramon, Kayla, and Will. You can tweet us during the show. We always enjoy that, too, and interacting that way. We've got some guests, Ramon, on the show today.
We do.
We've got Vandy head coach Tim Corbin, fresh off an SEC championship there in Hoover, Alabama. And our buddy, your brother, that took me a minute to realize he was really your brother, Ron Slay, will join us in the 9:20 hour. So, dudes behind the glass, how y'all doing?
Slacking this morning.
Yeah.
They're slacking this morning,
It looks
Kayla.
like they're figuring out some stuff
Something
behind
must
there.
have
But I
happened.
wanted to check in. I didn't want to leave them out.
You
know?
got to. This weekend for me, it was busy but chill, Kayla.
Yeah.
Busy but chill, man. My neighbor invited us over to his house to enjoy his beautiful pool. The boys had a good time doing that. We lit fires. Actually,
lit fires?
Lit fires this morning. This weekend.
Okay.
Explain
that.
It was cool enough, and I bought the solo stove. You know, the ones that you get.
About it.
Yeah, I have. I bought that, and it's been one of those just gone every weekend types of things. The wintertime couldn't really use it then. By the time I got settle in and at home in the fall, wasn't able to really light it up then because we were on the road then the season ended, then basketball started up in the fall, so Saturdays was kind of spent for us. Screw it. Lo and behold, a 2023 May, Kayla, was cool enough at night.
Yep.
Clear enough at night, not windy enough. And I say, you know what? I got some wood on the back porch. I'm going to pull the cover off this thing, and I'm going to light it. Kayla, really good vibes this past weekend.
Did you do s'mores? Because whenever I hear a fire, which we had plenty back when we used to live in, Spokane, we'd go to the lake, we would have a fire, but we'd have to have s'mores. Like, that was a must.
Yes. Yes, they did.
Okay,
they
good.
had
Just making
s'mores
sure.
this weekend. And had plenty of them. So I was looking at them like, dang, how many s'mores do kids eat?
Oh, a lot.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them, Kayla. But they had a good time. This weekend was good, I feel like, in general.
It was.
Definitely appreciative of Memorial Day and what it stands for.
Yes. Thank you for all since we weren't on live yesterday, all who sacrificed their lives for this fine country. It's just a day. I think sometimes we just get so caught up in, it's a long weekend. No, but it's a day we all need to pay our respects to those men and women who have fought for our country and sacrificed their lives. So
no doubt about it.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You can't say that enough because there's a lot that say what they would do and a lot of them that won't. You feel me, Kayla? So I'm glad. My neighbors, by the way, man, I'm sure you've heard of it or saw people posting it yesterday on Memorial Day. The Murph Challenge. You've heard about that? Yes. So it is the Murph Challenge is named after Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy. It's through him, and they tried to talk me into doing this Murph Challenge yesterday. Kayla, no dice.
No go.
No go on this. Which, by the way, my neighbors are like CrossFit folks too, so they get into it.
That is so intense, by the way.
Oh.
CrossFit?
Oh, my gosh.
Have you done it before?
No. You want to know why?
I've done it. Oh, my goodness.
Because I was about to, try to attempt to take a, joke, go in the gym. Because everybody's talking about it. About 5 years ago, everybody was talking about CrossFit, right? Like, they were showing it on ESPN. If I'm not mistaken, they had games. One of the top guys in the country is actually either from Chattanooga or from, Middle Tennessee somewhere.
Doesn't surprise me.
One of the top guys. Just crushing it, too. And our trainer in Pittsburgh was just like, yeah, it's probably something you guys shouldn't do. If you're not too big, you got too much muscle mass on you to be pulled. I was like, okay, well, it's always been no for me. But I know so many folks, Kayla, that transform themselves. They look different. They are really into CrossFit. And I'm just like, no.
Yep.
But this Murph challenge workout, most folks do it on they do it on Memorial Day.
Okay.
As paying homage to him. It's run 1 mile on the front end.
Okay.
100 pull-ups.
Oh, no. 200
push-ups.
Oh.
300 squats. And bookend it with another mile.
Okay. First of all, that's a lot going through my head right now. But the one thing that just stood out to me that I was like, there is no way in you know what, that I'm going to be able to do the pull-ups. 100 pull-ups?
100 pull-ups, Kayla.
No.
Start again with a mile.
Miles don't bug me.
It probably wouldn't, right?
The what is it? The sit-ups don't bug me. Ramon, this girl don't have any upper body strength at all. So what's the biggest thing that would throw you off?
The pull-ups.
Okay, so same thing.
Pull-ups I'm talking about kill me, Kayla.
Can we get assist on the legs?
Oh my gosh, but that's what they say. You can do like knee push-ups and stuff like that. I don't know how you can assist pulling somebody up.
You can use bands, but I don't think they'd let you do it.
But even still on the bands, that's still a lot of strain. So 100 pull-ups, 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, and 300 squats. You can also do, my neighbors, I think they end up doing a half Murph. So it's half of those things, too.
Okay,
but I was just wondering, had you done anything like that or heard about the Murph Challenge? Because it sounds...
I had heard about it. I did not know the details to it. All I remember doing anything remotely close to that is the PE challenge when we were in elementary school, and we wanted to always get those badges or the certificate saying that we were pretty much the top of the top when it came to athletes in elementary school.
Yeah,
that's all I remember, and I could never do the stupid pull-up stuff.
Hated the pull-up.
I hated those things on the monkey bars. They'd make us do it on those monkey bars, and I'm like, y'all, I'm checking out of this one.
Absolutely, I'm with you.
Sorry.
I could do max, Kayla. My max number on pull-ups ever, I think is 8.
Yeah,
I could do 5 real good.
I'm glad we're not in the same, or we are in the same boat on that.
Kayla,
and you have upper body strength.
That's what I'm saying. It's just it's one of those things you gotta train, and honestly, it's either you got that or you don't. But I'm strong upper body, but it's never been a big time weight guy. Some dudes just grab it and just rep out reps. You know what I'm saying? But not on me. I'm just I'm strong, but not rep strong all the time. That's the reason my 225 wasn't that high.
See, even a pro athlete can just be honest here on Ramon Kalen and say, you know what? There's some things I can't do. And for that, we respect you, Ramon Foster.
You know what? I appreciate that, Kayla, because I got challenged so many times about this CrossFit stuff. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good.
We'll
I'm
leave
good.
it alone.
Yeah,
You got to
we'll leave
find
it
what
alone.
works for you. What does work for our Tennessee teams, including Lipscomb, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt, is baseball and
Yeah.
postseason. And what a great postseason it's going to be with plenty of action. We've got Vanderbilt, who learned who they would be hosting this weekend. They have the number 6 overall seed, Tennessee, going to the Clemson region. And will also be joined by Lipscomb, who has made the postseason for their team. We're going to be talking a lot more about that a little bit later in the show.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you real quick, Ramon, were you able to see any of the action this past weekend for the SEC tournament? And I know Vols got bounced early,
Yeah.
but just in terms of, you still watch some Vanderbilt baseball too.
Oh, yeah.
Heck of a run for them with defeating Texas A&M Sunday in Hoover.
It was really good run for them, and big time plays being made by their playmakers. This Enrique this weekend.
He covers that outfield is huge, y'all, in Hoover.
Yes, it is.
And
it's
he
vast.
was all over it.
All over it, but not just that. Stealing home, stealing bases this past weekend. Like they had the RJ kid that's on their team.
RJ Austin, he's a
RJ
freshman,
Austin.
MVP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had a really good weekend to catch momentum. And the contrast is, of course, looking at like Vandy winning it this year and the Vols win it this year, it seemed like Vandy winning it this year, you feel the momentum a little bit more different because Vandy started off hot. They hit that downswing for a little while. And it got ugly for them for a while.
It
for
did.
a while,
Right
you
before
looked
that
at,
Arkansas series. Yeah.
Seriously, you looked at them just like, what is this team?
Yep.
How did you start so hot? But yeah, I tuned in this weekend. It was real good baseball all around. And it was exciting to see Vandy kind of win it again. And not just that, they were excited to win it.
They were pumped. And
They were pumped.
we're going to talk to Tim Corbin later on in the show in the 8 o'clock hour about that. We will talk Vols. And coming up, Ramon Foster knows a little something about humble Hendersonville.
Yeah.
So he was smiling big this weekend when Joseph Newgarden won the Indy 500. We'll explain why Newgarden's celebration might be one of the best we've seen in a while. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will here on 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, it's Will. You deserve all the comforts of home, including endless hot water at your fingertips. Tankless water heaters powered by new recirculation systems save energy, money, time, and space. And my friends at Lee Company have a limited time offer of $750 off a new tankless water heater when you purchase a recirculation system. To make the heater even sweeter, qualified buyers receive 18 months of 0% financing. It's just another great deal that Lee Company offers, and you can take advantage of this offer today and call my friends at Lee Company at 615-567-1000. You can also go to leecompany.com/promotions to get $750 off a tankless water heater. Qualified buyers, you get 18 months of 0% financing too. That's 615-567-1000. They're online at leecompany.com. That is Lee Company, all you need.
Hey, welcome back into Arcade Dub. I'm liking this music, getting me going on this Tuesday. How about you, Mo?
I'm loving
you getting
it.
Going?
It is Tuesday, too. I think we all going to be thrown off on that a little bit.
Believe me, it will. Tomorrow, I'll think it's Thursday.
I know.
It'll be all weird all week, but that's okay.
We'll
do.
okay,
We'll make it do. So how much were you able to catch the Indy 500 this past weekend?
Honestly, I was in and out of it, and then, of course, I just caught the ending. That's where
Which
I
was the best part.
It was.
But what makes it so incredible here in Middle Tennessee? And look, we don't talk about motorsports all the time on this show. However, we all kind of follow things here and there with NASCAR. And of course, you've got the Music City Grand Prix, which we'll talk about in just a minute here, right here in Nashville, that has pretty much been a hit, going on year 3 here in August. But what made this weekend so special is we all know about the Indy 500, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's just prestigious. You've got the chugging of the milk at the end. This is a sport where in that particular area, they draw over 300,000 spectators to this race. It's pretty incredible. Joseph Newgarden, who is from right here in Middle Tennessee, Hendersonville to be exact, your neck of the woods.
Humble Hindy.
He wins his first Indy 500 this past weekend. It was the 107th running of it, and what a wild finish. So this is what made it so incredible. There were like 3 crashes in the last 16 laps, and he actually passed last year's winner, Marcus Ericsson, in the final lap to capture the victory. I mean, it was incredible. I know you were kind of looking at some of the footage here. When you look at that and you're not following IndyCar all the time, does that make you kind of want to go and watch a race?
Oh, yeah. Kayla, definitely does. It was fun watching it. And then the other part, too, Kayla, of the Indy 5, kissing the bricks. Like
that's huge.
That's huge, okay? The pouring of the milk on you, everything that goes into it. Watching that last lap was phenomenal because you're looking at them, you're like, what are you doing? They're swerving up and down the track, and just the speed of it all, like Indy cars look like they're just lightning strikes.
They do.
They look like lightning strikes. So can you imagine, of course, us sitting in the studio being like, yeah, I can do that. I drive fast all the time. No, you could not. And the way Joseph Newgarden just drafted, like the way he drafted him, Kayla, and just passed him at the end. There was nothing he could do. There was absolutely nothing he could do. Ericsson could do absolutely nothing in that situation other than just watch him or try to wish he had more wish he had more track left. It was a phenomenal finish, man. And you just a celebration for everybody for Joseph Newgarden. It seemed like he was overdue a win like that. And it's kind of hard to say that in sports. You get what you deserve in sports. Mm-hmm. But it seemed like the amount of folks that were happy and excited for him, he deserved that race right there. You spoke about it too, his ups and downs, the different teams that he's had to be a part of to get to this moment right now and to win the Indy 500 on this past weekend was phenomenal.
The racing circuit is so difficult. And they're not getting all the attention either, right?
Right.
Especially here, there's just so much other things going on. But these guys are athletes, and they've been doing this probably since they were little, right? Mm-hmm. Driving cars, learning how to do it, been through ups and downs, like I said, with Joseph Newgarden. He's a phenomenal person. I had the pleasure of meeting him the past couple of years when I was working at News 2. Yeah. He came into the studio and talked to us, and he does his tour, obviously, when he comes here for the Music City Grand Prix because he's from Nashville, and it means so much to him. What I appreciate about Joseph, if you've never met him or you've never heard him talk, he is so passionate about this sport.
Yeah.
And he is the type of guy you want to kind of represent your area when it comes to this. So getting this win for him, like you said, Ramon, was just a thing that you're never going to forget. And what I loved about it is you knew how passionate he was because the minute he stopped that car, he went through the fence and he celebrated with the fans.
Yep.
And he said, quote, "I've always wanted to go into the crowd here in Indianapolis." He said that in the post interview with NBC's telecast. He says, "I've seen people go up on the fence. I wanted to go through the fence. I wanted to celebrate with the people." That is a Middle Tennessee man right there.
It is all the way, too. And I was talking to some folks this weekend about all the things that are coming out of Middle Tennessee. Like this, you got a lot of great things coming out. You got Vandy this weekend coming out of Middle Tennessee, or just the state in general. Like, all teams seem to be doing fine now in all sports. Whenever you look at it, you got potentially a top 5 draft pick coming out of the state, too, and Brandon Miller. Like, there's so much traction that's going on right here in Tennessee to where you get why folks move here, why the talent across the board has just been that well in the state. And it's phenomenal to see somebody, like you said, from here and proud to be from here win the Indy 500. I was telling you, Kayla, we were speaking about it a little bit. I was like, can you imagine being that person that's at the top of your game or winning one of the biggest races that's in all of your sports? You know what I'm saying?
Incredible.
The finals going on right now. The College World Series is going on right now, too.
Softball College World Series.
Softball College World Series. Lady Vols did their thing this past weekend and punched their ticket. It's a phenomenal time. And this is also the other part of winning big races like this, Kayla. You mentioned 300,000 folks being in these NASCAR races and stuff like that. Like, that's insane to me. But the purse this past weekend for a guy like Joseph Newgarden, last year's prize was about $3.1 million.
For the winner.
For the winner. Now, here's an opportunity now for Joseph and his team to really just set themselves up in a different position. But win $3 million on a big weekend in front of everybody on a clear, beautiful May day in 2023, phenomenal. I was happy for him.
No, it is really a cool thing. If you've never watched racing, you can always get the chance here in Middle Tennessee to watch it coming up in August because the Music City Grand Prix is here. And I do believe they are working on extending that even more so for another 3 years. This is something I've been able to experience. I know a lot of people here have been able to go down there and experience. I said, Ramon, you got to get down there because it's really cool. And they had, I think, 100-something plus thousand the first year. But this could really be a permanent home for IndyCar in the future, Ramon. I really feel like because this city embraces sports and embraces entertainment, which is really what IndyCar is in a weekend like that, it's a 3-day event.
Yeah, it is. And that's exactly what it is. It's an event. And you can just pick and choose your days and what you want to go out there. I do want to make a point of given the opportunity, Kayla, with my schedule, to make it down there because I love racing. I do. It's one of those things.
You want to race. You said you could race. You could fit into NASCAR.
I'm going to find a way to lube myself up and put me in the freaking car, Kayla.
Just get him in there.
But it looks like a good time, whether it's IndyCar or whether it's
Phrasing.
NASCAR or whether it's NASCAR. And it trips me out, too, especially, let's go back a few years when Tennessee played Virginia Tech at Bristol. I didn't realize how big those tracks are.
Oh, yeah.
There are 100,000, 200,000 people, 300,000. Can you imagine traffic, Kayla? Can you imagine trying to leave? I've
been in it. In Talladega when I covered it.
Is it that insane?
Yo, it's insane. You just sit there. It just lines of people out in the middle of nowhere. Just waiting to get in or leave, you know?
I'm going to be real. That's one of those moments where I probably try to be bougie, Kayla.
Yeah, you
I
would.
like 100%.
He's flying on his helicopter.
How much is it to rent a helicopter this weekend? Like, I couldn't sit. Like, it's got to be a minimum 3 hours trying to get up out of there. It has to be.
It is, Ramon. It is. I mean, even they've got the Nashville Super Speedway now. Like, Nashville's,
that's true too.
Has brought NASCAR here, and it is what it is, right? Even if it's out in the middle of nowhere, there's so much traffic because that's how many people are there, and you don't really realize it. Somebody had mentioned on the F&M Bank chat that the Grand Prix course probably will have to be changed, and that is correct, Tim Hall, because the Nissan Stadium whole situation with building the new stadium, that's where that's where the ending is. And that's where a lot of it is. It's based around that area. So you're correct. It will be a challenge maybe trying to find how to manipulate this course a little bit if they do extend the Music City Grand Prix, which I think we all hope they do. But yeah, that's the thing you think about. We forget that's going to be starting up soon, construction on the new stadium.
I'm looking forward to it, seeing what it's going to look like, too. And just so much traction. Like I just said a second ago, so much going on here, Kayla. that is really exciting for the ones that really kind of want to enjoy that type of stuff too. But yes, making it to the Grand Prix here it's got to be one of those things. Go do it. I'm telling you guys to go do it because I am too. I got one more thing too about the Indy 500.
Yes.
Kayla,
Okay,
too.
Mr. Fact Racing Man.
Well, I got
Give it to us.
because we got somebody local winning it. But it's this though to me. The tradition of drinking milk started in 1933.
I knew you were going to give this. Oh.
I know,
Okay,
Kayla.
go on.
Could you after a hot race?
No
milk. Okay, well, it came from Lewis Meyer. Said his mom told him after he needed to sip on something cool afterwards, and it was a glass. Listen to this of buttermilk.
No.
It was
The
buttermilk.
thick stuff.
Yeah, I know the thick stuff.
Sick.
But that's the thing they were drinking back then, though, too, like buttermilk. Like I have some older aunties, that like would drink like buttermilk.
Oh, my dad still drinks buttermilk.
Are
It's
you
the most
serious?
disgusting thing of all time. Oh,
Dang.
it's so old person to drink buttermilk.
It is.
Right?
Buttermilk.
Oh.
I know. Have you
Ah.
ever seen people like just have it as a meal? And
My
I'm
dad
guessing
would do that.
Oh,
cornbread and buttermilk.
And buttermilk.
Dude.
So what's the difference
Oh.
between whole and buttermilk?
Spoil?
That's a good question. We're gonna look that
No,
up.
that's
Did
what
you
it
just
is.
say spoiled?
Yeah, buttermilk has a twang
Okay,
to it.
no,
if
no,
I'm
no,
not,
no,
go ahead,
no.
look it up, Shafe. Like
I'm working on it.
Oh,
it's
Ramon. This
yeah.
is my worst nightmare.
So it says that everybody was likely disgusted in watching him drinking that, but said a photographer snapped a picture of Meyer drinking the
It
milk,
looked
and
cool.
it spawned a tradition
Yep.
like no other. But nowadays, you have the option to have either whole 2% or skim milk.
Okay, so Ramon is correct
Yeah.
because cow's milk is a fresh dairy product, while buttermilk is a fermented liquid that's created by culturing and fermenting milk products or by straining off the liquid that results from churning butter.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Buttermilk's
It makes
gross.
It makes my mouth like now just
Right?
like
I
that.
couldn't like
Oh.
no.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh.
here's a poll. What
Ah.
type of milk do you prefer? Whole milk, 2%, non-fat, or other?
Yeah.
Because guess
Yeah.
what? I don't prefer milk.
I
don't?
think we'll change
No.
it to is buttermilk the worst, and the answers are
Okay.
yes and yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is
yeah.
buttermilk the worst? Yes and yes. That should be an easy poll for you on this Tuesday.
Buttermilk, yeah. That's the. Ugh. Can you imagine that after a hot race?
I like chocolate milk.
Yeah.
Okay, I could do the Nestle, like
I'm
whip
here
it in.
for that.
But y'all, when I was at the dinner table as a kid, they would make me sit there because I would not finish my milk, and I would wait for them to go downstairs, and my brother would be sitting there with me, and I said, "Hey, Eric, let's go to the sink real quick. Be real quiet. We're gonna pour the milk down the drain." Sure enough, I found a way to get it done.
Yeah. You were a degenerate, Kayla. It's milk. Come on, man. As a kid, you just still like never been a milk person, though.
No, in cereal all day because I would just fill it with sugary cereal, and then I would drink the milk with sugary.
Yeah. Sugar and
Leftovers.
bits.
Right.
Absolutely. Oh, me, oh, my. That's fascinating, though, Kayla.
Is there anything at the dinner table that your parents would make you sit and wait for, or your mom would make you sit and wait for until
to eat?
you got up? Did you guys have any of that where it's like sit down until you finish your meal?
That's the whole reason I'm the shape that I am. Is because my parents used to make me clean my plate. Be like, "Oh, I can't. I'm so full." And he's like, "Oh, you better finish that food, or I'm gonna beat you."
I know, right?
Yeah.
Lick the plate, Bert.
I'm
Lick the
serious. No,
bird.
it was like that. We had a scrap bucket too, where you would
Sure.
like scrape it all in for the cows, and you
Yeah.
go dump it in. But if you did not eat all your food, it was going to be an issue.
See, I was raised probably a lot like Bert too.
Sure.
Like we had a slot bucket or a scrap bucket too when we had a pig when
Yep.
we were raising
You
them.
had a pig?
Yeah.
Don't tell Travis this now. He's wanted a pig his whole. I'm so mad you said this because now
They
he's gonna say,
Nah.
"Oh, we need to get a pig. Ramon had a pig."
All you got to tell him is it does not matter how big that pig is. Pig excrement smells like pig excrement.
Yes, it does. Yes.
Whether it's a little one or a big one, it does not matter.
It doesn't matter.
Kayla, this is the thing. My ending with my pig is not what Travis wants. though.
He was bacon after a bit.
He was a lot of bacon. He was a lot
Hey,
of
Moan.
chicharrones. He was a lot of everything. We had a feast with him. Kayla.
What was his name?
I don't even know.
Oh, Oh, he didn't. It was nameless.
It was nameless, Kayla. It was because it became a task to feed it. Like Bert said, all the scraps you had to feed it. Okay, cool. And then the next thing you know, it was his time. It was his time. And if you've never heard something so wretched,
Oh, the squealing.
the squeal.
Yeah,
Oh,
Bert, that's
It's
perfect.
terrifying.
Is it not terrible,
It's
Bert?
terrifying.
God, Kayla, it's terrifying. That's exactly what it is. Like, and then they gotta know. He had to have known. He broke out of the cage. We had to like chase him down.
That's
why-
the fun part, though.
I
Man,
know.
if you
I
like
love
playing, if
seeing
you like
videos.
hitting people, the way you get to lay into that pig,
Yeah,
man,
you
because
do.
they are
Right?
not going anywhere. They are massive. You've
Yeah.
really got to lay on those things.
and mean.
Are they fast?
Yes.
I mean, they're quicker than you'd expect them to be.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. Quicker than what you expect them to be. And then, like, the moment you think you got them, like, they're strong enough to get away.
Yep. It's like the bus, man. Like Bettis.
Right,
You
Jerome
cannot
Bettis.
bring that pig down.
So, that's how it's your Baltimore side coming out.
Yeah. I had to throw you a little bone
I
there.
love it.
I felt bad about your pig getting canned. I had to give you a little.
It's not the
was-
bus. It's
he
the
was-
pig.
he was
Jerome Bettis.
delicious, dog. He was
dog,
delicious,
yeah.
though. You had to do that. What about your cows, Bert? You mentioned cow. Did y'all have to, like, take them to the other side?
Oh yeah, I had to bring. Well, see, we had
Jeez.
a tractor, so you do the business, and then you'd get your forklift on the front of your tractor, and you just put your cow on it, lift him up, let him bleed out,
Yep.
clean him up.
Yep.
But and then you just got this big mound. It's totally different with cows because it's like the experience is much larger, right? There's a lot
Yeah.
more skin and bones and
body.
and so much more body. So where cleaning a pig might be like a 2 or 3 man job,
Yeah, it was.
cleaning a cow is like a 5 or 6 man job.
Yeah.
You got to get some bodies on it to help you out.
Yeah, that's what tripped me out about it was the bleed out part. And it's super early, so we can talk about
Yeah.
this without the kids.
enjoy your
That's
breakfast
talking
this morning.
fun here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will.
That's an extreme sport if we're being
It
real.
is, right? Coming up, though, the Miami Heat melting away Boston, y'all, in Game 7, moving on to the NBA Finals. They've got Jimmy Butler. We know that, but it's someone else who's making them tick right now. That's next on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Looking for a gift for Dad this Father's Day? Then tune in June 12th through the 16th as 104.5 The Zone gives you chances to win tickets to events, concerts, and more this summer for Dad. It's Dad's Week presented by Chattanooga Whiskey on 104.5 The Zone. For more info, visit 1045thezone.com/Dad's Week.
Welcome back to Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Yeah, give your dad some love. We always give our mom some love, and well needed, well deserved.
Well deserved.
Don't forget about Pops.
Please don't, Kayla. Like we need love too. We want gifts too, Kayla. That's all we're saying. Just throw us a bone, and not just the one that you took away from the dog. That's all we need.
Here's a bone.
Here's a bone.
Enjoy it for Father's Day.
Yeah.
Maybe
No
take
doubt.
him to a baseball game or something.
You know what?
Or an NBA game.
You know what's gonna happen? That's true too, an NBA game, but all dads will be at baseball parks.
That's
That's
true.
where they would be.
Yep. Maybe you do take your dad to the NBA Finals. That would be a sweet gift.
Golly, that'd be a gift, Kayla.
A little bit early. Miami, Boston, Game 7. So much hype leading up to this game last night, Ramon, just for the fact that Boston could have made history, being a team that was 0-3, the first NBA team that was down 0-3 that could come back and actually win the series. Well, that did not happen.
Did not.
The Heat defeats Boston 103-84. Yeah. No go on that. They advanced to the NBA Finals, so the Heat will be taking on the Denver Nuggets. We'll get to that in terms of what you think of that matchup and just what the country will think of that. I don't think it's the most sexy matchup, but then again, it's very new. But the Heat avoid, like I said, becoming the first team in the NBA to give up that 3-0 series lead. I thought Boston had a really good chance to lock it up because they were back at home. Mm-hmm. And it didn't happen. After the first 6 minutes and you saw Tatum get hurt, he kind of rolled his ankle. Yeah. It just felt like they lost all the gas.
They did, Kayla, and I'll tell you who wasn't believing in this comeback from being down 3-0, and that was Charles Barkley. Oh. He just kept making it known. He was like, history's going to be made. He was like, if they win the game, and he was 100% correct, if they win the game, in which Boston did not win that game, Kayla. But again, I was with you. I thought them going home. I know Boston to be a very toxic place to play for all sports, okay?
It is.
The Bruins is tough to play there, okay? The Patriots is tough to play there. And the Celtics, it was a madhouse last night. Mm-hmm. It really was. But I think this goes to show, though, too, like in sports, like you get so far behind and you got to exert so much energy, the focus, the fatigue of actually, finishing the job. Yeah. Like, that's the thing about, like, Miami not winning it at home. Like, yeah, Miami didn't win it at home, but they only needed one.
Exactly.
Like, think about the amount of energy and focus that Boston had to put in to tie that thing up at 3-3.
And the pressure they were feeling.
And the pressure of it, too. Like, it was embarrassment was on the line. Pride was on the line. Your history as a franchise. Like, nobody wants to get swept, so they fought through all of that. By 0.2 seconds this past weekend is how they were able to get into this Game 7 matchup. But to go back home and just to try to close it out in front of your home crowd wasn't good enough for them. And they had everybody in the house last night, too, in Boston.
Of course they did. People are going to come to. I mean, Boston is a sports city. We cannot argue that, first and foremost. So even if you're maybe not from Boston, stars are probably going to see this.
Yes.
Just because it is the sporting event.
It was. Saw Paul Pierce sideline on him, and just everybody who was anybody was watching that game last night or trying to be there. But again, it was not enough for him. The thing that was interesting about Boston last night was their guys. They needed them more often. Jaylen Brown got to give me a little bit more. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, it has to be one of those situations.
They shot 21% from 3. And it was awful.
That was the other thing. They couldn't buy a bucket in the first quarter. Just jacking up threes, and it was just like, yo, if this is what we're going to do, then we're going to lose by a lot. And they were down by a lot, double-digit points at some point in time. And they reeled it back in towards the end of the third quarter. And and then Miami just took off.
Just took off with it. And you got to give Miami, a lot of credit. Jimmy Butler, he led the way with 28 points, but it was Caleb Martin. I think a guy that, unless you're an NBA fan, you probably are like, Caleb Martin who? Like, I need to look him up. 26 points, 10 rebounds. when you look at the roster, not a lot of well-known guys.
No.
And I just think it goes to show that what Eric Spoelstra is doing as a head coach, what he consistently does with this team, is he gets them to the playoffs. And now they're in the NBA Finals with a roster, again, that's not anything crazy. But what are they doing? They're playing some damn good basketball.
Yes, they are. And on top of that, too, after Miami lost, I think, what was it, Friday or Saturday night? Saturday evening, their coach Spoelstra from Miami.
Yeah.
In his post-game interview, I watched it, and he was just so intent.
He's awesome.
He was just so focused, and it's like, I'm going to have him ready. It's like, can we play right now? Like, that's exactly what he said afterwards. Funny, I was sitting there watching it with Ron, and Ron was just like, Spo gonna say, like, they want to run it back right now.
Sure.
No lie, 3 seconds later, he was just like, we need to play right now. And at that point, it was just like any betting man would have probably thought, go with Miami, because one, Spo has been there. Boston has a first-year head coach, and Spoelstra has been there. He's been through. He's coached superstars. They've made it to the finals before. He's won championships before, also. And to see him like intently say, "Let's put the ball down and play right now," should have let you know how ready the Miami Heat was going to be, and they were from the get-go. They were ready. They were scoring field goals. They were shooting threes, and they were, because their coach prepared them. He said, I'm going to have them ready. Let's play right now. And at that point, all things should have been thrown out the window. And me personally, I didn't even think about it like that. Like, Spo told us, I'm going to have them ready. And he did. Gosh, what a game.
Yeah, what a game. And what a series. I mean,
for
Boston to come back, it just made it, I think it would have been really disappointing if it would have just been a sweep.
Yeah.
And we're looking now at them facing the Nuggets. I don't know what to think about that. I don't know. I'm not getting super excited, but this Miami team has me excited just because I kind of feel like with the 8 seed, I mean, they're the underdog.
They are. And I'll tell you this, though, too. Miami need to be ready, because this is what won't happen against Denver.
Yep.
Jason Tatum having 14 points will not happen.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown having 19 points will not happen. The stars for Denver, arrested Denver bunch, will be ready to go. You can't drop an egg like that at home, Boston. I know they're young. They're young. They're 25 and 26 years old as far as Tatum and Brown
Tatum
goes.
and Brown. I mean, they can. It might be a couple more years till they get to their real groove.
Yeah.
That's the positive. And if they're, remind me the head coach's name. He just took over.
Mazzulla. How do you say it? Mazzulla.
I think he could be a really good head coach. I think he's got a little bit more to learn.
He does.
He lost the team a little bit early in the season, but he got him back.
He did get him back, Kayla. And that's another thing, him stepping into that role right now. Like, that's a first-timer. There's a lot left in Boston.
For sure.
Especially having Tatum and friggin' Brown just there around. You know what I'm saying? So, Miami, you will not get 14 and 18 or 14 and 19 from the Stars in this series. But Spoelstra's at the helm, but Joker's on the other side of this thing.
We'll see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. Miami and Denver in the NBA Finals. Well, coming up, we're just getting started, actually, here on this Tuesday, this fine Tuesday. In hour 2 on Arcade Dub, we're going to talk some NFL. DeAndre Hopkins looking for a new home. Could it be here in Tennessee? That's a long shot. We'll explain why. That's coming up next on Rowan, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
This is your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by Ferguson, your source for clean air.
Blaney brings home the victory. Ryan Blaney snapped a 59-race winless streak last night and captured the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Blaney led a career-high 163 laps, The race was postponed from Sunday due to inclement weather. It is the biggest win of Blaney's career and his 8th Cup win overall. It is also the first time Team Penske has won the Coca-Cola 600 and the Indianapolis 500 on the same weekend. Speaking of the Indy 500, Hendersonville's Joseph Newgarden earned his first 500 victory on Sunday with a last lap pass of last year's champion Marcus Ericsson. It was the 4th closest finish in race history. Newgarden, a 2-time series winner, won the race in his 12th career 500 start. Earlier on Sunday, Max Verstappen won the Monaco Grand Prix in Formula One. It was his 4th victory of the season, and Red Bull Racing has won all 6 F1 races on the year.
This has been your Off the Track Racing Report, brought to you by Ferguson, your source for clean air. Contractors rely on Ferguson HVAC for their extensive inventory of parts, supplies, and equipment. With convenient locations from Memphis to Knoxville and Bowling Green to Chattanooga, Ferguson is the nation's 3rd leading wholesale distributor of HVAC and refrigeration products with top manufacturers including Ruud and Mitsubishi Electric. And with indoor air quality is a priority for all of us at work and home, Ferguson offers a wide variety of indoor air quality products, including top brands like Air Scrubber and Well Air, and many other brands to choose from. Ferguson HVAC has Tennessee contractors ready to meet your cooling, heating, and indoor air quality needs. For more information, visit ferguson.com/HVAC.
7:02. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Miami Heat are the second number 8 seed to reach the NBA Finals after they trounced the Boston Celtics 103-84 last night in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Caleb Martin led the Heat with 26 points, 10 rebounds. Miami will face the Denver Nuggets in the NBA Finals. The Vegas Golden Knights have advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second time in their brief 6-year history after routing the Dallas Stars 6-0 in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. Major League Baseball, Oakland defeated Atlanta 7-2, ending their 11-game losing streak. The Braves played at Oakland yesterday after hosting the Phillies on Sunday night. A quick turnaround. College baseball, Vanderbilt won the SEC baseball tournament on Sunday with a 10-4 win over Texas A&M. It is Vandy's 4th tournament title, their 3rd under Tim Corbin. The Doors are the top seed in the Nashville Regional. Meanwhile, Tennessee and Lipscomb will compete in the Clemson Regional. The Vols are the 2 seed, Lipscomb the 4 seed. And Ryan Blaney won the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The race had been postponed from Sunday due to inclement weather. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Good morning and welcome into hour 2 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will alongside my co-host, the great Ramon Foster, 11-year veteran and Vol for life. And then we've got not one, but 2 incredible producers behind the glass. We've got Bert Hawkinson, that's what I call him. And we've got the best producer in the world, Mr. Jonathan Schaefer, folks.
The best producer in the world! Oh, the world, Craig.
The world. And I am Kayla Anderson filling in for Will Bowling on this fine Tuesday. Like I said, Will getting some time off because he does this, Nashville SC thing now, right?
Yep.
So on top of calling some of the track meets, he's got the Nashville SC thing he's doing. We said, Will, you take some time.
Yeah.
You take some time and you relax.
He needs some time, big time, Kayla, because he did the state championships for track last weekend. Mm-hmm. And I do this, and you guys have pointed it out to me, and I enjoy it too. I'll ask a million questions. I will just about anything that I don't know anything about because you shouldn't have told me there's no dumb question, okay?
No.
Nobody should have told me that because if I don't know, I'm going to ask, that's for sure. But it was I was going to ask him about like pole vaulting and stuff like that. Like that is a serious thing.
Man, I always wanted to do that, but
did you?
I'd be scared. Yeah, I thought it was so cool. I mean, watching that event is incredible, like how they can get up and over.
Yeah.
What is it? Just like
the pole. That's all I do. The stick.
It's crazy. Well, thanks for joining us this morning. If you're just joining us, we're powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. You can also chat with us live on Zone TV, the F&M Bake Chat. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, and you can follow us on Twitter. We love interacting with you. We've already got the buttermilk poll question up. Have you ever tasted it? Yes or no? Follow us on @Ramon, Kayla, and Will. So we all heard on Friday some news, and if you're a fan of the NFL and you're a Titans fan, you're probably like, okay, DeAndre Hopkins hitting the NFL market. He's a free agent officially. So now everybody's like, okay, where's he going? The talks already started right here in Middle Tennessee, of course, but more likely probably somewhere else he will land. What were your thoughts? He was obviously released by Arizona this past week. They say cost-cutting move. I think there was a lot more going on within that franchise right now, which seems to be in a bit of a pickle, to say the least.
Definitely. This, to me, is one of those situations what you do what you want when you're popping. That's the way I look at DeAndre Hopkins. That situation to where you say you think it's more than just, a release or a cap-saving situation. DeAndre Hopkins probably went to him and said, look, man, y'all in a worse situation than when I came here initially. I don't want to be here. Y'all can keep me, but it's not going to be the same product. Kyler still has to come back from the ACL. He's still, I think, one of the top premier wide receivers in the league. Mm-hmm. He is, as far as DeAndre Hopkins goes, Nuke Hopkins, whatever you want to call him. He's still one of those types of guys, even though he's older. With the idea of you being able to have him, and he's cleared waivers, I think, by now, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Yeah, he's cleared waivers
now, yeah.
He's cleared waivers, which means you may have to sign him to a new contract with new money. But at this point in his career, I think he's ring chasing. I think he may give a little, Kayla, to be a part of a team that he knows they're going to compete against. And I just didn't imagine teams being able to cut guys with no attachment whatsoever, no trade involved in it for a guy like him. Again, when I saw it Friday, I was just like, what?
You were, because I think I put it out on the group text, and you were like, oh, okay. DeAndre Hopkins, who is, by the way, 30 years old.
Yeah. And that's not really that old the way guys train these days. Of course, in the NFL, you're always going to knock a guy, right? Because when they hit that 3-0, Derek's coming up on, 29, if I'm not mistaken. There's always those conversations. He's 28, 29, whatever it is at this point. But everybody gets nervous when guys hit that age. When you're non-quarterback, I still think he has something left in the tank. Yep. He also has to be a guy that, just like anybody else, and I hope more people start to realize this, no matter how great and dynamic any particular person is, they need a Robin or they need a Batman to really help them, or just a captain. DeAndre Hopkins in a situation where he will garner a lot of attention from defenses. But if it's just him and nobody else, then it's a non-factor in that sense. Right. He's going to get his numbers and catches and stuff like that. But to go say we're going to compete for a championship, I don't think so. So whoever is going to be that team to sign DeAndre Hopkins, I think has to have a 1 or a guy that's willing to be a number 2 if he shows up.
Sure.
That has their own name too. Yeah. It's a few teams that come off the board for sure, Kayla, when you look at what his options are of the teams he kind of named in that podcast that he did recently.
Yeah, I Am an Athlete podcast.
I Am Athlete podcast. But just if you start to really break down what teams have to offer, he really has a lot of options.
Yeah, I mean, some of those options, Ramon, include, of course, the New York Jets. Why wouldn't it include the New York Jets? Because everybody's tied now to the New York Jets.
Yeah.
The Giants, the New York Giants.
Thank you, Aaron Rodgers.
Thank you.
Get him.
Thank you.
Get him.
And now the Buffalo Bills seem to be kind of out there as a team that he could possibly go to.
Yeah.
Out of any of those teams, what do you feel like would be the best fit for DeAndre, or just where he'd want to go to?
Let's go through real quick, if you don't mind, for 1 second, the top 10 cap spaces available. And of course, teams will give. They'll give, right, Kayla? They'll restructure somebody. But no, number 1 in the most amount of money right now, Chicago Bears. Don't think he would go there. Nah. Carolina's up there with $27 million available. This is where it get kind of scary for the AFC South. The Colts got almost $24 million worth of cap space.
So look at their quarterback.
And that's why we probably pushed them out of the bucket, right? The Lions are part of it. Cardinals, what you just left. But then you got the Jets, Texans, Green Bay at the 8th most amount of money. Cincinnati could get very sticky.
Okay.
If they decided to. And then the Saints, which I doubt at this point, too. They just got out of cap hell.
Yeah, they did.
But then 11 and 12 is also Dallas and the Eagles. So there are some contenders. Where I think he could go, or teams that's really vying for him and say, hey, come here. I think Buffalo's one of those teams. I actually wrote him down. Kansas City is still one of those teams. Okay. I have the Lions down, but I'm not sure if the Lions are ready for that.
Yeah, just in terms of what, like that.
Just
that
quarterback,
type of
that type of exposure and winning and the expectation and actually being in the race for a championship. Like, I think they're a strong team, the Detroit Lions. But I also look at them and say, you just bought a new car.
Mm-hmm. They seem to be doing it the way they want to do it.
Exactly.
And to bring in a piece like DeAndre Hopkins, although I think a lot of people would love to add a piece like that. I don't know if that's what they're looking for.
Exactly. Me either. The Ravens. Oh. Gosh, I hope they don't get him. I know. I'm looking at him out the corner of my eye right now. I'm not here for that.
You ain't got to worry about that, man. They already got too many guys. We don't need D-Hop over in Baltimore.
Oh, my God.
He's like, get gone.
And y'all really don't either, man. You went out and got a great receiver in Allen Robinson. He's been really good the last couple of years, man. I think he's going to be awesome for you guys.
You know what? I feel like that's real tongue-in-cheek right there. Okay?
What do you mean? No, I'm not being facetious at all. I bet he'll be awesome.
I'm just loving this rivalry now. I mean,
cool.
it brings a whole element to the show.
It is what it is at these moments, okay? This is the way I deal with Bert on those types of AFC North situations.
You cast him off.
Yeah,
well,
it is.
We're going to dig deeper into this,
we will.
Ramon, because I want to get more on where you think he'll fit. But then I want to ask the question, could he fit here in Tennessee? I know it's a long shot, but there are some connections with Hopkins and the Titans. So why can't you 100% count him out when it comes to landing in Tennessee? We're going to explain that. That's coming up next on RK-Dub on 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to RK Dub. We continue our conversation this morning about DeAndre Hopkins, now on the market. He's a free agent officially. And Ramon, you were kind of giving us your thoughts on where he could potentially land. Before we get into why you can't count Tennessee out completely, you had some other places that you thought, he could possibly land there.
Yeah, definitely. Panthers in the conversation, but they got a young quarterback. I'm not sure if he wants to go there. Texans, same conversation. But these three right here, I think we need to keep an eye out on. Dallas,
okay.
think they're close. Mm-hmm. It sucks to even say that sometimes because their fan base is just so wild.
And Jerry will do anything to get the name.
And Jerry has also in-pocket money, too, which means he's not relying on the Cowboys. He can pay out of pocket for a guy like DeAndre, too, and just deal with whatever comes after the fact. The Jets, you mentioned them, Kayla. Because why? They got a quarterback. They got a really good defense. Everybody speak about the Jets, and I think the reason they were so gung-ho on getting Aaron Rodgers is because they knew how good that Jets defense is. Mm-hmm. And the last team being the New York Giants. Brian Daboll, of course, being the mastermind behind that offense. That New York market, the defense is really solid, too. It's some real contenders for a guy like him, which a guy like him never really hits the market. Like, even with Julio's situation coming here. Like, Julio, you had to go trade for him. You had to give up something. But to be outright cut, this doesn't happen like this.
And I was going to say, Mo, just with some background on Hopkins, he was suspended for the first 6 games of the regular season in 2022. That was because of the PED positive test that he had. And then I believe he did not play in the final 2 games for Arizona. He was dealing with what he said was a knee injury, but there has also been reports that he really just didn't want to play. So there's also things that surround him as a player. But when you want to win and you feel like this is the piece you need, like, you don't care about any of that stuff.
No, you do not. Absolutely not. And like I said before, I thought he was out on Arizona college situation looking the way he did. The head coach was in shambles also, so much so that he had to leave the country and lose his phone and everything else. And then, of course, with Ossenford, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he the GM now in Arizona?
Monty Ossenfort, yeah.
Monty Ossenfort is now the GM down there. It's just a new era. This type of stuff happens. You find ways to, weed out certain people when it comes down to how you want your team to look. And as it stands right now, Arizona has a very young, a very new, a very immature type of team. And I say that in fashion because they don't have a whole lot in the cupboard for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, who's a skilled guy that needs to get his stats and really trying to win. There's only so many, miles left on his wheels when it come down to his style of play.
Mm-hmm. So I know that Tennessee fans, they're either in or out on this, right? And I think a lot of them are realistic, saying that he's not coming here. He's not going to come to the Tennessee Titans. It's just not the right fit, right? You've got a lot of people who are out on Tannehill. Although I think we all need to step on the brakes a little bit, pipe down a little bit. And then you look at, the offensive line. You're like, we don't really know what that is yet. There's definitely upgrades, you hope, at that position. But you do look at the wide receiver room and say, well, they need a guy. Yeah. And they do look like they are on the right track with Treylon Burks being that number 1. So if Hopkins did come to Tennessee, he certainly would get his, right? I mean,
100%.
That you've got to look at. But do you know what this offense is? And the big question, that's the big question that's really everybody is wondering about.
No doubt
What is this offense? And if you're DeAndre Hopkins, that's the first question I'm asking.
Yeah,
if I'm even remotely interested in coming here to Tennessee.
So that's interesting you say that. So this weekend I was out picking up some stuff at the grocery store. Okay, at my local Kroger. I'm kind of like Deion Sanders out here. Okay, when he tell kids I ain't hard to find, like that's the way I am, Kayla. Okay, I ain't hard to find. I'm usually in a Kroger somewhere talking to my folks, my people in there, man. And I had this guy this past weekend ask me. He was like, "Man, you think we got a shot to get DeAndre Hopkins?" Same question, Kayla. Same conversation as far as, Tim Kelly having a link to him, Vrabel having a link to him.
Both in Houston.
Both in Houston. Like the Texans have become the Titans South. You know what I'm saying? The Titans have actually picked up a lot of the Houston players because of that relationship in a sense, right? And I was just like, man, and he asked me about the record. He's like, what do you think we can be this year? I was like, man, you can be 9-7 or you can easily get double-digit wins. Like, that's the way you look at this team this year, right? Even though some NFL experts have the Titans picking in the top 10 again next year, which is still wild to me. But nobody knows, Kayla, what this team is. And you mentioned DeAndre Hopkins coming here. DeAndre Hopkins coming here would have to be, this is my Hall of Fame push right here to get all my numbers, to correct the PED suspension, to make sure I'm numero uno. Heck, I might even get a payday out of this. Sure. I may actually even become a legend here in Tennessee if I can get 3 years out of this, right? That's what, if you look at him coming here, that's what it has to be for him. This is a business decision to say, Traylon, man, I'm going to guide you as far as you need to, but I'm going to get my numbers. Mm-hmm. Like, that's one thing a wide receiver always wants is his numbers. But in DeAndre's situation, I look at the Titans and say, well, what is the offense? Like, we've known historically since I've been covering this team, and honestly watching this team here in the state growing up too, is if you stop the run, then what else is behind it? And I think it's fair to even kind of say that to this day still. Like, I think we all are looking at this newly rebuilt offensive line and saying, well, what is that going to do for Derek? Of course, Tannehill's protection is a big part of that too. But what is it going to do for Derek? How is this offense going to look for Derek is usually the biggest question because there's nobody there in the run. I mean, in the wide receiver room that we really know to have a big reputation anyway. Of course, Traylon can grow his reputation. There are other guys that can grow their reputation. But off top, we mentioned Traylon and we mentioned Chig.
Yep.
DeAndre coming here will be an instant spark for him and this offense. But what is this offense still? We don't know.
Yeah.
We've heard it's going to be fast. We've heard it's more up-tempo. We've heard there's more motions, but we still haven't seen it. And Tim Kelly's tenure in Houston says what? Like, they run zone, they get deep, they go play action and everything else that's involved with it. But you still don't know what you're getting yourself into. And I think that's one of the reasons why a guy like DeAndre Hopkins will be out. And I also think that's why there's going to be so many questions revolving around this team this preseason. Is what is the offense going to look like? And then, of course, Kayla, to that last point that you had, the respect factor of Tannehill. What is that actually? What is that actually going to do for this team? Because Will Levis is right behind him. You got some people that are splicing potential starter for the Titans being Ryan Tannehill / Will Levis. So, again, what is this offense going to be? And, of course, this is the last point, Kayla, and I'll toss it right back to you is this. June 1st is soon.
Yeah. By the way, 100 days till the NFL season begins.
100 days till the NFL season begins. Are we actually going to see anything from this Titans team when it comes down to post-June 1st cuts?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's still a question.
And not to say that it's going to happen, but as it stands right now, we don't know anything about anything, and that's probably the way Vrabel wants it, probably the way Rand wants it, and it's probably the way that Tim Kelly wants it too. It's just like it's business as usual for them. But there's so many questions on the fan side, on our side of it, Kayla, that lends you to think, I don't think this is a destination for a guy like DeAndre Hopkins or anybody else moving forward for a little while.
And I think that's what's difficult for fans to kind of comprehend with is the fact that I think you look at that wide receiver room and you're looking at it. We're looking at it as media and saying, okay, well, it could be something if Traylon ends up being that guy, if Kyle Phillips can stay healthy.
Right.
If, Chig as a tight end can have a big part in terms of the
Chris Moore's another guy, a veteran
Chris
guy.
Moore, a veteran guy who they brought in from, by the way, as Houston.
Yep.
So I think there's so much like, well, it could be this, but could it really be that? And you could say, yes, it's going to be that if you add a guy like DeAndre. I think more so, yeah. Like if he came here, then you kind of just know, okay, it's going to be a better wide receiver room. But when you look at it from DeAndre Hopkins' point of view, you're looking at an offense that those wide receivers, and you heard it from Robert Woods last year, they come here and what do? They block.
They block, Kayla.
And if that does not get erased from the description
DNA,
of what you do,
yeah.
And I don't think it has completely yet, even with the new things that have happened with this offense, supposedly, nobody's going to want to come here of that caliber. Now, a couple reasons why he could potentially still keep this in consideration, Ramon. He was recently on I Am Athlete podcast. We brought that up.
Yeah, we did.
And he said one of the requirements of a team that he goes to has to be stable management. I know Rand Carthon is new, but I would say other than that, Amy Adams-Strunk has held management together for the most part pretty well. I realize that John Robinson has departed, but I feel like they got a solid ad.
That's also part of the management too, right? Knowing when to cut bait a little bit.
Knowing when to cut bait.
Yes,
You're exactly
100%,
right.
Kayla.
So I would say check on that at least. And then Hopkins also said that defense wins championships in this podcast, I Am Athlete, and said he listed a strong defense as one of the requirements. I would say the Titans are probably under that category as well.
Have a strong defense, especially playing in the AFC South as it stands right now, too. This is the thing. You still got to get Harold back and see what it's going to look like. Tierra's situation has got to be sifted out. And, of course, the new free agent signings.
Sure.
I mean, but that to me, Kayla, is all camp work, right? That's all camp work. They should be fine. This defense should hold up its end for sure.
But do you agree? If you were a wide receiver, you're out on the market. Clearly, you're looking for money. At this point, at 30 years old, DeAndre Hopkins is also looking for a ring. But would you completely X off the Titans just for the fact that the wide receivers haven't been able to really do their jobs in the past couple of years?
And so this is where I'm at with it too. So just for clarity too, and just to clear it up, most offenses require wide receivers to block some. Right? You see it. Like, they got to get in the way. We call it stalk blocking. They got to get in the way some. I think the issue I've had here and me watching the film from last year, I think the formations that you put these players in to block and the type of sets that you run the ball out of is not advantageous for the wide receivers that block here. Spread them out a little bit more. We get them in a wide slot situation, especially your premier guys. If you know your premier guy only wants to catch the ball, guess what? Put him on the field, but move him out wide. Let him be, let him be a diversion. You know what I'm saying? A decoy down the field when it comes down to that type of stuff. Because watching DeAndre Hopkins, he takes pride in blocking. But where he blocks and how he blocks is way different than what you require for the wide receivers here. So that's a little bit different.
That's a great point.
Robert Woods was a guy last year. Remember having to go across the middle to clean up linebackers in time.
And he's a small guy. Let's just make that clear, too. Robert Woods is not a big guy on top of it.
Those are business decisions. But when you bring that up, though, Kayla, as far as you know, having that premier wide receiver hit the market and Tennessee being a destination place, why is it not the case that they want to choose here? And it's because you run everything through Derek, from my understanding. Like, guys have had that conversation with themselves, like, my job is to receive. My job ain't to block. And this is one of those situations I was talking to somebody where Tennessee just, as it stands right now until we see change, you got to love your own. Like, that's the reason I think the AJ situation still hurts to this day, because you had your own that was capable of doing those things and loved doing those blocking. Love playing physical. Love being a Tennessee Titan. Heck, you heard him say it. He thought he was going to be a Titan for life when it all boils down. So you having the ability to go get a DeAndre Hopkins or somebody not named Julio Jones is not the case anymore. Because, one, call it what you want to, but you're in the middle parts of a rebuild when it comes down to this team. You switch coaches around offensively. You got a new offensive coordinator. You got a new offensive line coach. You got a whole new offensive line in general. And then you got a bunch of young guys playing wide receiver that is a first-round draft pick, a 7th-round draft pick, a 5th-round draft pick, and Kyle Phillips a 4th.
Kyle was a 5th.
Kyle was a 5th. And then, of course, some veteran free agents. Like, this has to be figured out. And your number 2 as it stands, Kayla, is a second-year tight end. And that's honestly a pat on the back to him for establishing himself this way. But until you get to a point to where your offense is making plays, to where that notoriety on those 4-letter network clips where you making, the top 10s. And then, of course, you got wide receivers catching balls down the sideline. And there's also a trust in your quarterback, meaning Tannehill gets his bearings back or Will Levis has come in and decides he's going to be the man. So for a wide receiver to want to be here right now of that magnitude, I think it's just outside of the conversation at all.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would tend to agree with you. So with all of that being said, likely you're not going to land here in Tennessee. And I do truly believe, like I had mentioned with the Lions and how they're doing it the way they want to do it, I feel like this is what Rand Carthon and Mike Vrabel are doing here. They're doing it the way that they want to do it. And that doesn't necessarily mean bringing in just a guy that has a name, that's had success. I just don't know if that fits.
Right?
Yeah.
How many times have we been burned here in the last
Julio's
4
the
years?
The biggest one.
I mean,
but there's been plenty of other players.
There's been plenty other guys. Like, if you can say what you want to, and he's my guy. But Bud coming here, that was like a 2-year deal that didn't muster much for you.
More so because of injury.
Because of injuries, of course. But there's other guys that have just walked inside of that locker room, collected, and just
not fit.
left.
And they haven't fit. They haven't fit the mold. They haven't fit the culture.
So, and that's why I said earlier, like, as it stands right now, be an organization, and of course they do this. So I'm just stating the obvious. Love your own.
Yeah.
Traylon's got to be the man.
Yep.
And I think Traylon understands that. Chig can't wait to go off, right?
Oh, yeah, he's ready. I mean, that guy is ready.
Kyle Phillips changing himself this offseason. Wants to prove it. And this is the bad part about that for those guys. And I'll throw Colton Dowell in there, of course, and Chris Moore. We got to see what Racing McMath we're going to get out of him. But
this is his time to prove it. There's not going to be another time. You got to do it now.
And NWI, we keep forgetting him. The thing that sucks about this group as a whole, compared to other NFL teams, though, Kayla, even teams with other rookies and stuff, I don't know how much of this group people will fear until they make themselves.
You got to prove it. And I think they know that, Ramon. I think they know that they have been talked about as, what do you got in that wide receiver room? What do you got to throw to, Ryan? I mean, they know that. While they probably will say, we're not paying attention to the noise, you hear that. Ramon, do you hear kind of the stuff that comes at you? I don't know if there had been a time in Pittsburgh where the line wasn't all there.
Oh, yeah.
And there were question marks. Yeah.
We were getting being worked, okay?
Sure.
Or at least because he played a style of ball. But, of course, the OL is the group that takes the blunt force of all of that,
Absolutely.
Right? And we used to hear, you got to protect him. Yeah, this guy needs to be moved on from. Hey, this guy right here, he sucks. We get rid of him. Like, hey, they only got 2 guys of the 5. You're like, what?
Yep.
Like, do you not know what we're going through? So I'm hoping for this group, they do kind of hear that a little bit. They understand what's in front of them and what the challenge is. Like, that's one thing about the NFL is you got to go prove it. Is what have you done for me lately? But when you do, that respect is through the roof for a guy like this, especially this group. Now, again, Traylon's got to lead the way. Is that a lot of pressure for a guy? Yeah. But guess what? You sign up for this.
And he did the work this offseason, according to everybody and himself.
Absolutely.
He was here.
And even, and of course, we mentioned him last, and I hate that it was NWI. He's another guy.
He's been solid.
But imagine if he actually carves out a role and becomes a guy, becomes a better route runner, becomes a better comeback catcher. Like, he's got the size for it, he's got the speed for it, he's made some plays. And that's the thing about this group in general. Like, we're looking for DeAndre Hopkins. Like, get us one at home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, can Traylon really take that next step?
They want their guys.
And truthfully for me, and I know we've been running with this conversation this offseason, but like for Chig Okonkwo to be number 2, if I'm a wide receiver in the NFL on this Tennessee Titans team, I'm looking at this very disrespectfully. Like, this second-year guy's going to take my reps? Yep. Like, and I say that respectfully because Chig has really built himself up to be like a playmaking guy. But if I'm Mason Kinsey, just to throw his name out, Kyle Phillips, like, those are your reps.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Bothersome.
We'll continue this conversation. Plus, Ryan Tannehill is likely going to be QB1 to start the season. We discuss the minimum expectations for number 17. That's coming up next on RK-Dub on 104.5 The Zone. Hey there, I am joined by our good friend, Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub, your expert in trees and shrub right here in Middle Tennessee. Okay, you got the crepe myrtle bark scale, the emerald ash borer, hackberry aphids. Dean, these are just a few pests that you can all take care of with your 7-app program. Can you talk to us more about that?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the pressure with the pest and keeping them controlled is a big deal around here in Middle Tennessee. That's why you need to pick up the phone give us a call, 615-299-9999. Been around for almost 30 years. Super proud of that. Super proud of my employees. They've been very loyal, and I just can't say enough about the company and the culture we have at Arbor Art Tree Care. So again, 299-9999, certified arborist. We know what we're doing. So we're going to be transparent and tell you the truth. But one of the big things is this 7-app program. It's a great investment for your investment around your home. It's reasonably priced. We come around 7 times a year. We monitor all your woody ornamentals, your small trees and shrubs around your home to make sure that we keep the pest under control. So give us a call, 615-299-9999. I hope you all have a great week. Thank you.
They are your experts, Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. You can check them out online at arborart.net. Call them 615-299-9999. That's Arbor Art Tree and Shrub.
Make the most of your family's summer with a trip to Holiday World, just a couple of hours from Nashville. Sign up online for your chance to win tickets to Holiday World and Splashin' Safari by going to 1045thezone.com today.
All right. I'm feeling it. How you
Me
feeling
too.
this morning, Momo?
Feeling real good this morning, KK.
We've got some good topics going on, and I wanted to end this hour too. We've got a couple of people on the phone. So let's bring in our listeners, and let's go first of all to Brandon in Lebanon. Brandon, what you got on D-Hop for us?
What's up, guys? Hope you guys had a great Memorial Day.
You
We
too.
did. You too, my
I
brother.
appreciate that. I want to just give out some love to all those foreign and domestic that have protected us. So,
Yes.
Yes, indeed.
I just wanted to say about this D. Hopkins thing. So, history is what it is in Tennessee, and everybody knows what the history is that wide receivers are a dime a dozen. We get veterans in here, and they play for us for a season or so, and then we get traded or sent off or cut or whatever the case may be. And that's even, the veteran part of it is we bring in Julio, we bring in Randy Moss, we bring in just Pickens. We get all these guys in, and then we're like, oh, that's the piece that we need. That's the piece that we need. The second caveat to that is that he's going to want deep pockets.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We know that that's there as well. And the third thing is he wants a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't know what kind of shape or form that we are as far as like performance-wise going into trying to be competitive for a Super Bowl. But we know that we're putting the pieces in the right area that we need to. But as I completely agree with you guys, I do not think D. Hopkins is going to come here. I don't think that this is a viable spot because he's going to look into his head. He's going to be like, look at the past experience that wide receivers have had there. Do
Yeah.
I want to go there?
Well, appreciate
I
the call.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it, Brandon.
Appreciate that,
Great
Brandon.
call. And I'd agree on a lot of stuff he said. And yes, the money, we hadn't even mentioned the money. We don't know exactly what he's asking for, but it's not going to be a scrappy amount.
It's not going to be 10 a year.
Right.
No, I mean, the highest paid wide receivers is, 20 plus right now, and he was one of those dudes for a
Yeah.
little bit. You're at minimum, I think, spending 17 or more
Yeah.
a year.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
There's so much more here to do more than just spending $17 million
Yeah.
on a wide receiver. That's a luxury piece right now.
Real quick before we wrap up hour 2, let's go to Chris in the Borough. You want to talk about some wide receivers and play calling, Chris? What's up?
Hey, good morning, Kayla and the other two guys.
I love it.
Me and Ramon used to hang out at baseball games.
Oh, okay.
Always. at a
Anyway,
park.
so what I was calling about is DUI Downing. He only had one good game where he was drunk and was calling plays. I mean, the wide receivers are what they are, but the O-line sucks, the offensive play calling sucks. So, I think that we skip on Hopkins. We invest in our young guys. I'm telling you, don't
Yeah.
sleep on Copeland. Copeland, he has the right
The
attitude.
Maryland kid, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that he's going to be solid. But also wanted to make the comment about the DUI Downing, and that's pretty much it. So
Yeah.
I just think we skip on Hopkins.
Thanks, Chris.
No doubt.
Well,
Chris
that seems
with a
to be the
one-liner.
theme. I know, right? Look, he's using the alliteration to the finest. Everybody seems to be feeling the same thing at this point. Probably it's a no on DeAndre Hopkins, and more so because I just don't really think they really care if he's here.
Yeah, I'm with you too. And you know what, Kayla? I'm glad our listeners are at least being realistic about this.
Yeah,
Like legit, like
I like hearing their thoughts.
I like hearing that too.
Yeah, let's go to Bam real quick in Nashville before we break. We're trying to get y'all in. Bam, what's up?
What's up, Bam?
What up, homie? How's everybody feeling this morning?
Good.
We're
Good
feeling
morning,
great.
my
How
brother.
about you?
Good, Ramon. What you on that grill yesterday, Ramon?
What I do, man? Some
Still
ribs.
running for me, but it's all right. Go ahead.
Did some ribs, man, and my son actually loved them. That was one of his first times having them too, man. So yeah, that speaks volumes right there. I'll let you
It
know.
does, it does. So, man, look, I got to play devil's advocate there. I feel like if they find a way to make it work here, that totally changes the whole trajectory of everything with your offense. because it opens up more room for a lot of different things because you got to account for Traylon and D-Hop, which would make Kyle Phillips and Chig have a better year. I mean, it doesn't have that glaring thing like AJ and Julio because, I mean, they stayed hurt all the time. For the most part, he's healthy.
Yep.
But I'm just saying it does open up a whole lot more, and I guarantee you we would go from the lowest ranked offense to maybe I ain't gonna say a top 10, but we would definitely be in a top 15 automatically because I mean now you really got to pack a lunch to play the Titans. Then
Right.
Yeah.
you already got to pack one to play them anyway because of just their style of football. But D-Hop would bring another element that would open up so many different options. The last year that he was with Tim Kelly was the year that they went to Kansas City. So I'm saying it's not like he's not familiar with what Tim Kelly can do and what Vrabel can do. And again, all this is just, opinionated. But I feel like with D-Hop coming, it gives us a chance to at least have a playoff run.
Yeah.
Let me say that. It does give us a chance. If they can make that work and Tannehill's still there, and if he stays healthy, if they stay healthy, if you put that on paper, man, that'll definitely be something that you can almost kind of look forward to. So, I got to put a devil advocate against everybody.
Yeah,
That's fair.
No, and that's a fair point. That's a fair point, Bam. And we're going to continue this conversation. Plus, we told you what is the minimum expectations out of Ryan Tannehill this year if he is the starter. We're going to get to that. Plus, Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin is going to join the show coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. 2 hours, 2 to go right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
It's 8 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Jonathan Schaefer from the Superbook.com sports desk. The Miami Heat are the second number 8 seed to reach the NBA Finals after they trounced the Boston Celtics 103-84 last night in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics tried, almost pulled it off, but no team in NBA history has rallied from a 3-game-to-none deficit to win a series. Caleb Martin led the Heat with 26 points and 10 rebounds.
I just want to continue to stay locked in, and I knew how they were going to guard me through the series, and I just want to take advantage of that. I just feel like I've built for these type of moments, and I'm just going to continue to try to get better and feed off guys like Jimmy and Bam, and they lead the way, and we're just trying to follow.
Miami will face the Denver Nuggets in the finals. The Vegas Golden Knights have advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second time in their 6-year history, routing the Dallas Stars 6-0 in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. Vegas will take on the Florida Panthers next. Oakland defeated Atlanta by a score of 7-2, ending their 11-game losing streak yesterday. The Braves played at Oakland yesterday after hosting the Phillies on Sunday night. That wasn't good scheduling. Vanderbilt won the SEC baseball tournament on Sunday with a 10-4 win over Texas A&M. Vandy's 4th tournament title, their 3rd under Tim Corbin. The Doors are the top seed in the Nashville region. Tim Corbin is set to join us at 8:30 here this morning. Meanwhile, Tennessee and Lipscomb will compete in the Clemson Regional. Vols are the 2 seed, Lipscomb the 4. And Ryan Blaney won the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hey, fine people of Middle Tennessee. It is Ramon, Kayla, and Will on this sunny Tuesday. I see a little bit of the window. Yes, it is sunny outside, alongside our 11-year NFL veteran, Ramon Foster, VFL. And we've got some 2 really good producers, great producers behind the glass. Bert Hockinson. He's going to hate it because I keep calling him that, but he looks like Bert Hockinson.
I love it. It's a compliment.
It is a compliment.
As long as you're not calling me like elephant face. Exactly. You guys remember that. Because if you look like a ginger, you naturally get compared to like the ugliest people.
Yes.
Maybe I would be cool with Sean White too. You know?
There we go.
There's very few attractive gingers.
Yes.
What about the roided up Carrot Top?
Oh,
okay.
Dude, Carrot Top is cut now.
Yeah, he is. But I wouldn't put him in the attractive category. So let's let Bert be the Hawkinson or, like he said, Sean White.
I can deal with both of those.
And we got the best producer in the world, Jonathan
The best
Schaefer.
producer in the world! In the world, Craig.
The world. I'm Kayla Anderson, taking on hosting duties today as we'll get some time off. And we have had a busy morning. We've been talking about DeAndre Hopkins, whether or not he would fit here. We're going to continue that, but more so turn it to the guy that could be potentially, if he did come here, throwing him balls.
To the mix, yeah.
And that's Ryan Tannehill. And all signs at this point, Ramon, point to Ryan Tannehill being quarterback 1, at least to start the season. Now, anything can happen. And we know that Will Levis and Malik Willis, we can't leave Malik out.
Right.
He's still in the mix.
Right.
Are there trying to battle as well. But I want to throw this question out to you. What would be the minimum expectations from Ryan Tannehill this season to keep him in that quarterback 1 spot?
Ooh.
What would you just have to see from him, even if it's the minimum?
You know what's so interesting about Tannehill is this for me, Kayla, as we speak about, the expectations for him. I think the expectations needs to be governed by how much are we willing to, deal with his setbacks or letdowns.
Sure.
I'm going to go this route. Instead of saying, man, I need 3,500 to 4,000 yards. I need, 25 plus touchdowns through the air. I'm going to go here, Kayla, off the beaten path for Ryan Tannehill. Give me under 8 interceptions.
Boom.
Give me, if possible, 350 to 400 yards rushing.
Okay.
And no sack fumbles.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yes.
if he's the quarterback, and I expect him to, I feel like we do have to pay respect to the second round of this year in Levis because he has some talent, right? To be like, man, well, what if Levis go gets it, right? Got a rocket of an arm. Give me under 8 interceptions.
Okay.
350 to 400 yards rushing. His use of his legs, and I know he's gotten older and maybe he doesn't even want to do that anymore. Run the ball. 10 wheels, right? If it's that, okay, and no sack fumbles, like feel the pressure, pull the ball in, don't let the strip fumbles happen to you. I think we're in a really good spot this year. That's where I'm at. 350, I'm going to say it again. I may even write it down, Kayla. 350 to 400 yards rushing. Solid year for him. That means the offense has evolved some, which means if he also gets that, then he's probably protecting himself a whole lot better. Give me under 8 interceptions and control the ball when being sacked. Now, that last one, the sacks.
The sacks.
He can't see somebody off his blind side, right? But, of course, it's going to look like just hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
You know, the armchair coaches, me being one of those guys, and just hold on to the ball.
Because 2 years ago, he wouldn't do that.
You feel me? So that's where I'm at. I love to see him, though, Kayla, seriously. Get about – what's a good year for Tannehill throwing through the air? Last year he had 2,500 yards, and that's in 12 games. Mm-hmm. If he starts all 17 this year, 3,400.
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah. And I don't totally – actually, I agree with you on most of that. Protecting the football was my number one thing because I know that is what Mike Vrabel harped on when he wasn't protecting the football. He didn't completely point it out, but he did at the same time. It was like, we've got to play football where we're protecting the ball. And Ryan Tannehill 2 years ago, that wasn't the case necessarily. Yeah. There were the interceptions. There were the fumbles. It's not completely your fault if the line can't hold up and you've got someone in your blind spot, but you gotta hold on to that ball. And I think the other thing is the clear thing. He's got to stay healthy. Yep. Because if he goes out for a couple of games and you got Levis now behind you and Levis steps in, I think that it's a different situation from Malik stepping in last year where he wasn't really ready for the moment. I'm not saying Levis is going to be, but I think he has a better chance of being ready for the moment than what we saw last year from Malik.
No doubt about it. And that's where I think, that pressure comes from. Some players thrive off of that. It would be a very messy situation, too, if that, he is the type of guy, Tannehill, that is to thrive off of pressure. Mm-hmm. And I know he's dealt with a lot, but actually to have competition at your position. Like some dudes really rise up in those situations. Like Aaron Rodgers, I know we continue to bring his name up when it comes down to it, but he rose up to what he deemed disrespect when it came down to Green Bay drafting the guy at his position. Tannehill's been very above board. He's been very professional in his approach to what he wants to get done this year and how he's treated Levis and also Malik too. The size from last year is like it's not my job to coach him up, and truthfully, that's what he's supposed to say. But the expectations for a guy like him, and some of it is outside of his control. Mm-hmm. But the interceptions, got to minimize that. I mentioned the sack fumbles being a situation. That's the offensive line holding up their end as far as protecting them. And, of course, like I said, the run game for me is something that needs to be explored for a guy like him. This is all or nothing for you this year, Tannehill. I don't know what Rand conversation was with you. I know a little bit about what Rand. What I'm saying is this. What happens this year determines a lot. Your career is on the line, whether it be here or somewhere else. I don't know if you're going to get the Jimmy Garoppolo treatment. I don't know if you're going to get the Andy Dalton treatment, the Baker Mayfield treatment, to where you become a bridge guy. But you have to be able to establish yourself to be able to hit that market because there's nothing left after this year. Mm-hmm. So it's got to be through the roof for him personally. If I'm Tannehill, I'm saying to myself, 3,800 yards. Give me 21-plus touchdowns through the air. Give me under 10 interceptions. And carry my team to be first in the AFC South. Yeah. That's got to be because as players, you set those personal, unrealistic goals sometimes for yourself. Heck, I wanted to be just whatever. You know what I'm saying? Not miss a snap, not give up a sack. Those are the things you have to set the bar high because a lot is on the line. One of the best professions anybody can have in America, be QB1.
Yeah, and Ryan Tannehill, look, he's coming in focused. He's at OTAs for a reason, which I also want to bring up the point that Derrick Henry is at OTAs, which usually has not been the case in the past. I think that means something. I think he knows, I'm still the dude. I'm going to be here. I'm going to say that. I know there's new offensive staff, and that's part of the reason too, but I think it is something to maybe think about that both Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry are here for OTAs, kind of saying, we're the dudes right now. Like, you might want to count us out, but we're the guys still. On the note of Tannehill, and I thought that was a good point in terms of he's still an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, this is a wide receiver converted into a quarterback.
Yes, ma'am.
This dude can use his wheels, and I'm not going to go into detail, but let's just say at practice and OTAs last week, and we're going to see him again tomorrow. I'll be out there, Ramon.
Yeah.
He's using his wheels again, and he looks fine.
Maybe because he feel more loose. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and he's got his ankles back.
And he got his ankles back. He got his ankle snatched last year. That's for doggone sure, Kayla. But that is a portion of his game, which I've been kind of, lightly beating on the table for. It's like, dude, you're an athlete. As long as you can protect yourself with that baseball slide or get out of bounds, do it. Especially if we're going to get some tempo. There's one thing that you can't account for, and Bert Hopkinson's team has really capitalized on this a lot. Everybody play. Defense is usually 11 on 10.
Yes.
Because the quarterback doesn't really do much. If you put that 11th person out there, you got to be accountable for them other than them dropping back and handing the ball off or passing the ball. That's a different space to be in. Like, you can account for everybody except for the running quarterback sometimes, especially when they're strategic like that. And in today's game, it's really evolved into you got to have a multifaceted quarterback when it comes down to you being able to throw the ball, hand the ball off, and be able to run and extend plays. That's all you're asking for is more life. Like, and that's one thing this offense has been needing is more life. The Drake album. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
More life is what you're looking for. Like, I really look at this team this year in this offseason, the early portion of this we midway through the offseason now. 100 days left, Kayla?
Oh, we got 100 days till the start of the NFL season, believe it or not.
Goodness.
Yeah.
But this does take me back to the Vols side. When we're looking at what we wanted out of the Tennessee Vols football team.
Yep.
Give us some excitement. Give us something to hold on to.
Which you got.
And you know what, Kayla? There's benefit to that. And that's why I'm just like more life out of this offense. I think we look at this Tennessee Titans defense and say, yeah, it's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the offense, it's a toss-up.
It is a toss-up. We're going to have questions. We're going to continue to have questions. Look, we're going to continue to bring you our observations. Like I said, OTAs, again, we're going to be allowed to go to those tomorrow. So we'll let you in on what we've seen from that. Then you got minicamp coming up. We're going to talk NFL until we're blue in the face. But we are going to transition a little, Ramon. I think we're both excited about the NCAA tournament for baseball coming up. And we've got 3 teams. We've got Vols, Lipscomb, and Vanderbilt in the mix. We will have Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin on coming up. That is on Ramon, Kayla, and Will on 104.5 The Zone.
Interest rates may be high everywhere else, but now at Genesis Diamonds, you can get 0 interest on any purchase. Yes, that's right, any purchase. 5-year 0 interest financing with nothing down. Beautiful eternity bands, 1-carat diamond stud earrings, and more, starting at only $50 a month. 0.0 financing for 5 years. Imagine this. That's a $6,000 designer ring is $100 a month, and Genesis will even finance the sale tax. Interest rate relief is just another way that Genesis always looks out for their customers. You can get pre-owned Rolex watches are included in this, as are all Genesis name brand designers. So you can get the ring of her dreams at a monthly payment you never dreamed possible. It's a great time to celebrate that anniversary with a new center diamond or spectacular diamond tennis bracelet or eternity band. So many options. Get the crazy low value Genesis value price and then spread your payments over 5 whole years without a dime in interest. Now through July 1st only at Genesis Diamonds.
Welcome back to Arcade Dub. Getting into some baseball talk. It is that time of the year as the march to the College World Series begins. And we've got 3 teams right here in Middle Tennessee representing the Volunteer State. You got the Tennessee Volunteers, your team, Ramon, Tony Vitello, and the guys are going to be heading to Clemson. Clemson is the 4 seed in the tournament, so they will be there with Charlotte and Lipscomb, another team from our area. Real quick, Moan, before we get into Vandy, your expectations for the Vols coming out of this region?
I'm not sure what it's going to be.
It's a tough region with Clemson.
It is 100%, Kayla. I expect them to play up. My thing is this: they've had an issue while playing on the road too. That's not okay. Going into Clemson, the way it's set up and who they have to face potentially is, can you get out of there? Of course, Lipscomb's not an easy outfit for Clemson either.
They've been hot.
And of course, Charlotte, like, that's one thing that's always unique about baseball is you have teams that are in this right now that don't have the same budget as Tennessee, as Vandy, as Auburn. And they can compete with you just the same. So that's what I'd say to the Vols is like, yo, Charlotte, don't look at it as a cupcake. Like, playing at Clemson, treat it as if you need to do all things to get up out of it. And then, of course, in their bracket still, Caleb, if I'm not mistaken, is Samford in theirs too? If they make it to the end?
Well, so it's right in the regional bracket, it's just Clemson, Charlotte, Lipscomb, and Vols. Then the winner would go out
in that bracket,
So
to play against Auburn, Penn, Southern Miss.
The Auburn regional they'd face.
The Auburn regional.
That'd be the super regional.
So my expectation: get to the game with Clemson.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not even sliding Lipscomb at all either. But they. This is a fascinating bracket. It really is.
It is. They will play the Vols. That is 5 p.m. Central on ESPNU, and that is on Friday. As for the Vanderbilt Commodores, look, coming off of an incredible performance at the SEC tournament in Hoover, where they took down Texas A&M on Sunday to win it all. Quite a ride. A lot of games being played there. And now they go in with some momentum into this regional. They're back hosting after having to go all the way to Corvallis last year. They didn't make it out of the first round, which at this point, you just look at this program and you're kind of expecting them to make it to the College World Series, right? But there's times that it just doesn't happen. And last year it didn't happen. Now they're back hosting. They are the 6th seed, and they will be taking on Eastern Illinois on Friday in the late game. Also in their bracket, Moan, Xavier, Oregon, which there was some perking up of ears when it came to that. And then, of course, Eastern Illinois and Vandy. So, interesting bracket. I don't think you can overlook anyone. And I think that is something that Tim Corbin has been so great about with having success in this team. It's always the next team up, as boring as that might be. It is always what's in front of us. And right now, Moan, it's Eastern Illinois. They can't look at Oregon or if they face them later on this weekend. They might be the sexier team, Oregon, out of the Pac-12, who won the Pac-12 championship. It's Eastern Illinois right now.
It is, and that's all that matters, Kayla. As we get ready for Coach Corbin here in a few minutes, is the idea that, look, any day can be your day, win or loss, when it comes down to it. And you are one of those teams that teams like Eastern Illinois, Xavier, and Oregon want to beat because you get that notoriety. Hey, as far as it stands, if I'm somebody playing on Oregon team, they may have a kid that Oregon recruited that chose to come to Nashville and stand on the West Coast. There's a kid on this team from Vanderbilt, from Brentwood, California.
Absolutely.
I know he was recruited by Oregon, but he chose to come to Vanderbilt, so there's familiarity there in the idea that, look, Vandy, y'all coming to the West Coast to take our players. Not just one, but there's numerous players on this team, too, that you're just like, I don't like your footprint. I don't like your footprint on the West Coast either. So because of that, we're coming for you. And that's the same that goes for Eastern Illinois. You never know how a team like this is going to play you. One thing about we can call baseball blue bloods too, in a sense, right? Like Vandy's one of those teams. Let's just throw the term out there. Or just traditionally good teams. Vanderbilt is one of those teams. Eastern Illinois, Texas, Oklahoma has been one of Florida, is one of LSU. Arkansas. We can go all the way into it. Heck, Wake Forest becoming one of those teams.
They're bouncing back in it. On top of Clemson finally being relevant. And it's been a minute.
No doubt. I got to ask our guy, though, our resident East Carolina.
By the way, ECU representing there. I see you.
That's what I was going to say.
I
Where
see
y'all
you,
at?
Bert.
Oh, man, we're in Charlottesville, dude. It is rough over there.
It is a tough region.
It's you got Army, we got Oklahoma, we got Virginia.
Yep.
And the AAC tournament actually got spun on its head because East Carolina fought all the way back out of the losers bracket, and then they fell to Tulane, who was one of the worst teams in the AAC this year. I think they won 18 games. I don't know where they're at in the tournament, but they were not good.
Yeah.
And they just got hot at the right time, got a ticket to the big dance. But ECU, 45 wins on the season. I think that's tied for like third in the nation, and still got stuck going to Charlottesville. And Virginia, who has taken us behind the woodshed plenty of times on the way to Omaha. It is not a great place to be, but still optimistic nonetheless.
So they made y'all yell mama?
Oh, man, they old
Virginia's
yellered
been
us
a
so
team.
hard.
Yeah.
They have old yellered us so hard, so many times.
By the way, Tulane is in the LSU bracket.
Yes, they are.
They're in the
Yes,
LSU
they are.
bracket.
LSU getting the 5 seed. Look, when they put up on the screen where the regionals were, my jaw dropped. Now, I'm from the West Coast, so maybe that was more so the reason. There is one regional on the West Coast. One.
Yeah.
And that's Stanford. Everything else, y'all, is over here in ACC and SEC country. It is incredible. And that just goes to show the dominance of college baseball down here.
To your point, Arkansas is hosting, right?
Yes.
In that Arkansas bracket, just listen at the travel schedule, except for one team. TCU has to go to Arkansas, okay? Santa Clara, Kayla, and also Arizona.
Oh, which, by the way, squeaked in. They didn't even know if they were going to get in.
To your point, though, like everybody got to come to the South to play, and that's got to be bothersome because this is the thing about it. Y'all can have baseball all year long, especially the Cali team. Santa Clara, what are we doing here? Like, legitimately, like that will be bothersome. But as we said a second ago, you have a team like Vandy that's able to tap into the West Coast. You have other teams from LSU's a team that's able to do that. Arkansas is a team that's able to do that. Heck, Tennessee's a team that's able to do that in a sense now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's somebody better do something about the SEC.
And when they come down here, when these teams come down here, they're experienced baseball at its finest. The crowds, the amount of passion for it down here is unreal. And it's not matched over.
Right.
I lived over there. I've covered the Pac-12. Great baseball. But the crowds, the amount of energy surrounding this here in the South, unmatched.
Yeah, and that's the reason I say, like, I made the bit like a couple of weeks ago, and I was speaking about just East Carolina. Like, we go to the baseball game, we drink our beers, and we watch baseball. Like, that's exactly what you do in those games, and those crowds can be kind of toxic. I know the West End is going to be full of it.
It'd be fun.
For Vandy hosting.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing could be said about LSU, like, or Arkansas being one of those things. Like, it's going to be toxic, and that's what you want, especially in a sport that's usually real chill, especially in a sport to where you kind of respect the rules of the game, right? Even though there's so many unwritten rules, right? But when you throw that crowd element into it and you get a little pushback from the referees or the from the umps, where it's like, where was... Call it blue. You hear all that in the background. You usually get one or two homegrown calls right there, Kayla. So you're right. It can be intimidating coming to the SEC or coming to the South or one of those baseball-rich programs over here from the West Coast.
It's different, right?
And it really is.
Vandy head coach Tim Corbin will join us in just a minute. But on the note of just, the environment too, you looked at even Tennessee's environment last year, and it was electric, right?
Yeah.
And that just goes to show just how big it is because they're newer on the scene, right? They've just gotten good again.
They have.
But that then draws me to the conclusion, maybe you go on the road as Tennessee, you don't feel all that pressure. Maybe they play better at this point.
They hadn't shown that as of late.
Yeah.
I got to go with what they've shown me. Unless they just needed this rest to get right, then I believe in what they've shown me as a team so far. They got the talent, but guess what? Heck, everybody else got talent. Clemson got talent. You know what I'm saying?
That's the best point of it all. Tim Corbin, we talked to him yesterday at the selection show, and everybody has talent this time of year, right? And speaking of head coach Tim Corbin of the Vanderbilt Commodores, joining us on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time. Fresh off of an SEC tournament win, how was it this weekend for your guys? I know we saw you yesterday, and did they get some sleep?
I think they did, Kayla. I hope they did anyway. They got sleep last night because I felt like that was the most important thing they could do moving forward. But I think with the emotions and adrenaline and all the games that they played over that 5-day period, Sunday night was probably a nice night for them. They certainly were pretty active on the bus for the first hour and a half. Then it was really quiet on the way home after that. They probably fell asleep, but I'm sure they've enjoyed that part of it, but they also know that they got to move forward really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. With the regional coming up and you guys hosting again on West End, which is always great news. I know you love that for your guys. How is it then to host again after going to Corvallis last year, kind of be able to sleep in your own beds?
Yeah, well going to Corvallis, you would never vacation there. But
Truth.
If you had to play there, it's fine. But at the same time, you'd rather not get on an airplane, travel 4.5 hours, and play someone. So this certainly is kind of like you build up enough equity during the course of the year by playing well to purchase your own home. And really that's always the goal, is to try to play well enough where you can play at home. And we were fortunate enough to do that. We played well at the end of the year to almost not guarantee it, but put ourselves in a great position to do that. So we're certainly excited about playing here, playing in front of our fans, but as you said, sleeping in your own bed and being familiar with the environment.
Yeah, you guys will be taking on Eastern Illinois on Friday. Coach, this is your 17th straight NCAA appearance, the longest active streak in the country. And I know I liked what you said yesterday. Part of this is just to be consistent. You got to do those tiny things exceptionally well, right?
Yeah, I do. I mean, not to get long-winded in it, but it is. I mean, it's doing a lot of small things really well on a consistent basis, and I think that's how you build a good foundation. And once you establish that, then the older kids in the room start to reinforce it, and that's when it becomes more powerful. If you're a parent or a coach and you're always having to repeat yourself, that's no fun. That's frustrating. But if you can create an environment or facilitate an environment where the kids are operating within it and they enforce the structure, then I think you have something that can be consistent, and then the outcomes will take care of themselves. It doesn't guarantee anything, but what it does is it does guarantee just the consistency on a day-to-day basis. And I think if you can have that, then you've got a chance. You got a chance to produce consistent behaviors.
Coach, there's only one guy I know that can pull former NFL GMs out of their house, and that's been you. Kev, I saw Kev last time he was here, and he said he got to spend some time with you, man, as you guys went down this stretch.
Yeah, he was fun. We saw him when he came to Arkansas. Came to the Arkansas series. He came with his brother Bob Colbert, but Kevin's great. Kevin was, I think the last time I was on the air, we were talking about him. But I was a student assistant football coach during my time at Ohio Wesleyan, besides playing baseball, and really led me into teaching and coaching. And then once I got done with that experience there, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher. And he was a great influence on me in so many different ways. He showed me how to break down film. And back then, our films, you had to splice the film yourself. It was, it was old style. No one would even remember that, except, I guess, if you're my age, you might. But outside of that, it was just very primitive. But I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the ability to learn how to organize and understand, teaching inside of coaching and how to build teams, or at least how to try to build teams. And Kevin Colbert was very influential on me and always will be, and he's remained a very close friend.
No doubt about it, man. In that film study, too, I'm sure the way you guys used to do it, you really look at a lot of stuff. You have an Eastern Illinois team right now that's 38 wins on the season, Coach. You guys, and Kayla and I was talking about this, is one of those traditionalist schools where y'all win a lot and teams recognize that. So Eastern Illinois is going to come after you guys. How do you keep your guys focused in this situation?
I think it's pretty easy, for us because I think we approach, opponents the same way all the time. I think the greatest mistake you can make as a person or a team is valuing something, putting a value on a person or a team and just, or the shirt. And I think you just approach things the same way all the time. It's the same scouting report. Not the same scouting report, but the approach is the same, and how we go about playing opponents the same, and then it gets down to what you can do. But for us, and we understand this is a one-team regional. That's it. The other two teams, they're not an issue right now, and one of them we may not even play inside this regional. So it all becomes an Eastern Illinois regional for us, and that's it. But it's just a lot, very intentional steps moving forward. And, for us, it's trying to get better. Right now, it's just trying to take the time that we need to reset ourselves before we get going again. We'll start to slowly break into it today and then do more team events tomorrow and Thursday.
Just revisiting also, Coach, the SEC tournament. You guys didn't have the easiest pathway because all of the SEC is very competitive, but you guys pulled it out even after losing to Florida. What was the mindset in that second game to get to the championship bracket, Coach?
Well, I think the Florida game that we lost was probably pretty pivotal in terms of what happened. I felt like we played well against them and lost. We out-hit them. And I think for a lot of different reasons, played better defense. But at the same time, they got the big hit and we didn't. I think the level of frustration after that game was such that, okay, we played well but didn't win. Then we got to react. We got to react in a different way. And that game against Alabama right after the Florida loss was kind of the turning point. We scored 5 in the top of the first, and I really felt like that kind of moved us forward because we scored 4 in the top of the first against Florida on the next day after we beat Alabama. And then that kind of got us rolling. And, we scored early against Texas A&M too. So I think it just we got some momentum, got some confidence. And once we started to do that, then we started to settle in. And I think that, when you get inside of a tournament situation, it's being able to settle in and get comfortable, and hopefully we can do that at some point this weekend.
Also this too, Coach, in big time moments, you need your players to play a type of game. You need your A players to show up. One of those guys this weekend, Enrique Brasfield, Coach. What do you say about a guy that's able to, to seize the big game moments and just really capitalize and help lead you guys?
I think it's, I don't think it's any different than the sport you played. I think you get into certain situations where it's playoff football, playoff baseball, and the guys that are really good players that are going to rise to the occasion and play really, really well. It's Jimmy Butler. It's that guy. It's that person that gets into a situation you go, there's no doubt. There's no doubt he's going to be locked in and play well in this environment. And those are the different guys. Those are the different guys. They're on a different plateau than everyone else. And that's not to minimize the strengths of other people that are on your team, but there's certain kids along the way that play at a high level when you need them to and you need the team to. And Enrique's that guy. He certainly is a talented young man. His defense, you look at the space that he covers, and particularly in Hoover, because that field is really large. It's a lot like ours, but a little bit bigger in the gaps. And the space that he was covering on balls that were hit to the gaps was just incredible. And I think where you would really notice that is if he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And those balls would fall, they'd be doubles, they'd be triples. But he takes away more extra base hits because of his jumps and because of his speed. He's just different. I mean, he's got one of those bursts that probably like Antonio Brown when he first came into the league out of Central Michigan and got into, played for the Steelers, and you see that burst, you go, oh, my God. That's different. Well, he's got that burst.
And that's the reason you bring it up. And we used to always stress that, like, A players, when it's go time, you got to step up. So it was good just seeing him be in that moment. And like you said, you don't want to minimize the team, but, boy, he showed up, Coach.
Yeah, he did. He's a really good player. And he drives the other guys around him, too. And I think that's the other piece of that is guys like that who play well also drive other people to reach levels that they've never reached before. So it works in different ways.
One last thing before we go, Coach, just wanting to check the health of your pitching staff. I know Hunter Owen, you said, is going to probably be available sometime this weekend.
He is.
Okay.
He's coming along fine, and it was good to get him out there against Florida. So, albeit he didn't pitch that long, but he pitched enough to where his health is moving in the right direction.
Well, Coach, we appreciate your time. We know that you don't have a lot of it right now, so we appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this weekend to the Vandy boys. We're excited to watch y'all in action.
Thanks, Miss Kayla. I appreciate it. Good talking to you all.
You too.
Thanks, Coach.
Tell Maggie hi. All right. That was head coach Tim Corbin on our Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. I mean, the knowledge that comes out of him and just the way that he explains things. It's like, now wonder why this team continues to be successful year in and year out.
Yeah.
Because it just seems like they never get too far ahead of themselves.
No doubt. I want to bring up something on the other side of this break, Kayla, that he brought up at the end of it, and I think is very unique to having good, consistent teams.
And I think, Robert, we have some time, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, for
we
sure.
got some time. We just had to let him go. So
Yeah,
we got some
did?
time before break.
Okay,
Oh, no,
for sure.
we're going.
No,
So
we got.
we'll bring-
That's
yeah.
my fault. That's
Sorry.
my fault.
We'll
We do
bring
have
it
to
up.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when you have a guest on. I'm like, I just want to talk forever.
And we will,
Coming
Kayla.
up, though, we will discuss some of those things that you particularly took from Tim Corbin's interview with us. Now, that is coming up right after the break here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Stick with us.
Sign up for a chance to win tickets to Monster Jam World Finals as it comes to Nashville's Nissan Stadium for the first time ever, July 1st. Be there to see faster racing, higher jumps, bigger tricks, and unbelievable wow moments and surprises you won't soon forget. Sign up today to win tickets. 1045thezone.com/contests.
Welcome back to Arcade Dub on this fine morning. We just got done with a great interview with Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin as his Vandy boys get ready for regional action starting this Friday, taking on Eastern Illinois. And really quickly, Moan, you took some things from that stood out to you.
I did, because when we were talking about Enrique Brasfield, it was this to me. I was speaking about, like A players playing A games when it comes time to it, whether it's late night games, championship games, division games, like having your guys play A games. It was unique to hear him kind of say some of the same stuff as football players say, and probably all of sports too. And I think that's why I was so frustrating about last night game with the Celtics too, having Tatum and Brown not show up. Like why we love, and Coach Corbin brought this up, Jimmy Butler.
I loved that when he spins other knowledge from the other leagues.
He showed up. Like they bring everybody with them. And this is the thing, too, about your A players stepping up. And it's unique, and it's this portion of it, too. And he said this about Enrique, but it goes across all sports. Your A guys got to drag everybody else with them, too.
Yep.
It's not saying that you're not important, but like to make everybody else around you better, greater, open up more opportunities. That's why you need those types of guys. And I know we're going to transition back into other sports, but like football being specific, like where this team is now at the wide receiver position, like what you want to hear after this year is Traylon's an A player. You know what I'm saying? Because that makes Colton Dowell better. It makes everybody else around NWI better. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is Derek the superstar? Because when Derek's going, the entire team is going here. So it's unique to hear different coaches in different, sports say that same sentiment.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's important here, too, to why when a guy like DeAndre Hopkins is on the market, you want to have him because he's an A player. And him being good makes everybody else good, too. So I get how you love the attention of trying to get a guy like that. But that's where I'm hoping this team kind of, separates itself a little bit here as we cover, football for the Titans is – who going to be our A players this year? Because he was right about Antonio. He did make Antonio Brown, that is.
Better.
Made everybody else. Everybody ate off the back of what he was doing. Like sometimes those fumes really make you really rich too. You know what I'm saying? Or make you that type of guy. So very fascinating from him. I had to write that down.
Tim Corbin not only knows baseball, he knows all other sports, folks. It just makes him the GOAT. All right, 4's up because we're going in to hour 4 of Arcade Dub. That's coming up. The show will lose its roof, people. That is right. Ron Slay will join us. But first, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, he was in Hoover for the tournament this past weekend. Why he was mum about the SEC schedule format. How many games could they have? We don't know. That's next on Arcade Up.
9 o'clock from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Jonathan Schaefer. The Miami Heat moving on to the NBA Finals. They're the second number 8 seed to do that. They trounced the Boston Celtics 103-84 last night, Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Celtics tried, but no team in NBA history has rallied from a 3-games-to-none deficit to win a series. Caleb Martin led the Heat with 26 points and 10 rebounds.
I just want to continue to stay locked in, and I knew how they were going to guard me through this series, and I just want to take advantage of that. I just feel like I've built for these type of moments, and I'm just going to continue to try to get better and feed off guys like Jimmy and Bam, and they lead the way, and we're just trying to follow.
Miami will face the Denver Nuggets in the finals. Denver, right now, the heavy favorite. The Vegas Golden Knights have advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals for the second time in their 6-year history, routing the Dallas Stars 6-0 in Game 6 of the Western Conference Finals. Vegas will take on the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup Finals. Oakland defeated Atlanta 7-2, ending their 11-game losing streak. The Braves played at Oakland yesterday after hosting the Phillies on Sunday night, so a quick turnaround across the country. Vanderbilt won the SEC baseball tournament on Sunday, 10-4 win over Texas A&M. Vandy's 4th tournament title. It's 3rd under Tim Corbin. The Doors are the top seed in the Nashville Regional. Meanwhile, Tennessee and Lipscomb will compete in the Clemson Regional. The Vols are the number 2 seed, Lipscomb the 4 seed. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Well, it has been a fun morning as we return here on a Tuesday. Welcome into hour 4 of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, alongside our 11-year NFL veteran in VFL. It is Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
Who the hell are you?
Ramon.
You know. Say my name.
Ramon.
Oh, yeah.
What? Say my name. I don't have a damn clue what the hell you want.
Yeah, you do.
Do you respect the bad guy?
Ramon. The bad guy.
That just gets you. That gets you going.
Gets you going.
Behind the glass, we got not one but 2 really, really good producers. We got Bert, and we got the best producer in the world, Jonathan Schaefer.
The best producer in the world!
Look at that intermixing of that, too.
It was dope.
I'm Kayla Anderson, taking over the hosting duties today for Will Bowling as he is out enjoying some days off.
He actually got good weather, too, in his days off.
It is. I'm like looking at the little sliver that I have in the window, and it is sunny.
Yeah.
Because when we came in, it was a little bit overcast.
Mm-hmm.
So today, looking like it's going to be nice. We've had a nice start to the show, of course, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. When trust matters, count on All Four Seasons Garage Doors in Nashville. Professional garage door installation and repair from a locally owned and family-run business. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. You can follow us on our Zone TV chat, and you can get in there if you want. It's on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch, or just tweet us at Ramon, Kayla, and Will. How's everybody doing? I can't believe it's 4 hours almost.
What
here.
do y'all think Will does on his days off? You think like he's like getting a jump start on his taxes for next year or something? Like what does Will do on his day off?
No, he's already prepping for a game that's 3 weeks from now.
I was going to say, we just hope that he takes a little time to himself.
I picture Will right now like Macaulay Culkin at home by himself.
Oh, gosh.
They left me.
Right?
They left
Jumping
me.
on the bed.
He's
Mom and
fending
Dad?
off the wet bandits.
Yeah. He's shaving under his armpits and everything. He just
He's got like a big shaven cream beard on. Like.
Yeah, that and
That's
just
the
like
best.
because Will got some. He's been using his voice a lot. Okay,
Oh, yeah,
for a guy
with
like
the track
him.
meets
So
and Essie.
I can see him yodeling in the mirror right now. Okay, is that?
Yeah, doing all his warm up.
Yeah.
Gotta get it back. He's probably
my moment.
They really do that stuff to warm up when they like sing too. It's hilarious.
Yeah, owl now, brown cow.
He has like one of those spritzers. It's like, like right in the back of his throat.
And then, of course, we do the Ron Burgundy. I love scotch.
Yeah.
Scotch.
Down into my belly. It's like
I imagine walking down on Broadway going, hey, fellow youngsters.
Somebody said they saw him on
I saw
Broadway.
it too, man. I cannot imagine him amongst the chaos of Broadway.
nervous.
No running.
Nervous.
Man. Look both ways when you're crossing the street.
Oh, no.
Do you have a hall pass?
no.
Oh, sorry. Old habits die hard.
No
Put down
running.
those scissors if you're running.
He's such a 65-year-old man. That's all.
In a 25-year-old body.
25-year-old body, but that's our guy,
That's great.
man. If he's not in the mirror right now, Kayla, looking at himself, just flexing,
Looking like
big man.
Macaulay Culkin, right? Kevin.
But speaking of which, I started the tech shop, but I was
Succession.
already deep into it already. Succession. I started it.
His bro's in that.
I started it. Macaulay Culkin's brother is in
He's
there.
great.
Yeah, really good show. I'm on episode 4 right now.
You got a ways to go, but it's
I
good.
do. And you know what I did? I powered through my kids being around too. I powered straight through it, Kayla.
Now
'cause
that's impressive.
It is, because I get to a point where I want to watch my shows in the living room because
my
why?
shows. These are my shows.
I pay bills around here, okay? Me and my wife,
I
we
can
pay.
just see you. Get out of the living room. These are my shows.
Don't be trickling downstairs whenever I'm trying to watch my shows, okay? This is adult vision only, okay? But screw it. They came down, Kayla. I watched it. I was like,
Good
you know
for
what? Yeah, you might see something
I
we
was
might
gonna
have to
say,
have a
now-
conversation.
Yeah.
But guess what? Dad TV time is upon us right
That's
now.
very important.
It is
Okay?
very important. Like, hey, cover your eyes. That's all I have to do for
Or
it.
ears on that
But I
one
have
specifically.
started
Well,
Succession.
we'll get some updates off
We
air
will.
because the
We will.
season finale was Sunday, so we're not going to spoil it for
Yeah,
any of you
please
that have
don't
seen
spoil
it.
it for me.
I won't.
I'm
Believe
terrible
me.
at that, though. I won't watch a show after it's done. That's where I'm at.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you, though.
You watch Succession now, too?
Yeah.
You-
Well,
you
I
into
dabble in it with
Okay.
Travis because he watches it, so I know enough.
Okay.
I
for
know. I just
sure.
need to go back and watch it all, though.
Yeah.
But maybe when I have time, which is
Yeah.
never.
I know.
So Greg Sankey was at the SEC baseball tournament, right, this past weekend in Hoover. He was speaking on a whole bunch of stuff when he joined the booth. And then Seth Emerson of The Athletic wrote about it just recently, saying that Greg Sankey privately made his preference
Yeah.
on a football schedule format very clear to his members of the conference. He wouldn't say what that was, whether or not they stay at 8 or they go to 9. He wouldn't say that on air. However, some reporters that talked to him Friday in Hoover made it seem like he actually wanted to do 9 games. But then Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated came out recently, on Monday actually, and said from what all he is hearing, it's unlikely that they go to a 9-game schedule, which that means more money. But in the long run, coming from a former athlete, Moan, like 9 games is a lot to ask of these players to play.
It is. Like, we're talking about professional stuff at this moment. And I know for sure, that, well, they're getting paid like pros. They're not pros. They're not. You still got classes. You still got management of emotions. You still got some
still
17-year-olds. There we go, Kayla. Like, there is a gap between learning how to be a pro and also being a pro. And football is one of those things where you put a lot on guys when you look at that. And so much more comes from, like, being on a 9-game SEC schedule, too. Like, the amount of recruits. Honestly, when you're in the SEC, and I hate to sound cocky about it like this, but with all sports almost now, you better be very selective of who you're recruiting and how you're going to put guys in, because the drop-off of talent from your premier starter to the guy behind him, it can't be much.
Yeah.
Because in 9 games, you're really going through the gauntlet. Like, you got 3 cupcake games, let's just call them that.
Sure.
Okay, an in-state team, an out-of-conference team, and possibly one more. And you're also judged on that strength of schedule
You are.
outside of your SEC opponents, right? And it's already the mindset that you guys just beat each other up anyway when it comes down to the SEC football. So to add 9 games, Caleb, there's no breathing room. And as much as you like to say, yeah, so what, you're supposed to power through that, kind of need that breathing room throughout the season, whether that's your homecoming game, whether that's hey, man, we're going to cut y'all $1.5 million for you to come in here this weekend. you kind of need it, Kayla.
Well, especially, Ramon, look at the SEC and it's been the conference for a while now. But it just means more phrase. We kind of joke about it sometimes.
Yep.
But it is real and more real than ever now, with other teams kind of flexing its muscle, including Tennessee now. Georgia is at the top. Alabama continues to be a team.
Carolina.
South Carolina is becoming.
Come on. And the biggest wrench of them all, honestly, to me, is Kelly at LSU. That changes everything
Absolutely.
for the SEC to me. Brian Kelly being there, say what you want to with the corny L and everything that he threw up there.
The accent.
The accent, yeah, my family, all that type of stuff.
Constituent.
There it is.
My constituent.
Who says constituents?
I know. Heck, who's the old? He can go be a politician with Tuberville if he want to.
Dude, I covered Tubbs too,
Did you?
Tubbs wasn't even on that level when he was coaching. At least, like I didn't see him going into politics. I could see Brian Kelly going into politics.
Man, I remember going down to 38 last year and campaign posters up for Tuberville. I was like, he running for golf?
yeah.
No, he's in
Tubbs,
now.
yeah.
Ooh, that's
He's all
leave
in
my
down
opinions
there.
alone on that one. But with that being said, though, Brian Kelly can coach his butt off, and
Yeah,
I think
he
the
can.
one thing that he needed to do was, respectfully, I say this, get out of Notre Dame, because the athlete that he was looking for ain't there. How many times, y'all, has Notre Dame been to the big dance and shined their shoes and had their jacket custom made and, have the dance floor set for them? And they just couldn't do it.
Disappoints.
They've gotten embarrassed more on the big stage, I feel like, more than almost anybody. When it comes to the show, think about the amount of embarrassment they have. But now he's able to be in Louisiana, next to Texas, and recruit those athletes. I'm not out on LSU, but boy, it's going to be very fascinating to see what he does within the SEC now.
It is. So that will be something to look out for. Of course, the SEC schools are meeting in Destin this week, so we'll probably be getting a lot out of that. So we'll have that here this week if anything comes out of it. But for now, not looking like it's going to go to a 9-game SEC schedule, but that is to be determined.
And one thing Dellen just said, so I thought was very fascinating, and what Sankey had to say too was this. Speaking of the 9 games, it could mean more money.
Right.
Sankey said this: if all you do is chase money, you make really bad decisions. And I'm watching that in college sports right now. We don't do that here.
So that's good then.
Says a lot.
You want somebody who's going to look out for the entire conference as players, as teams, not just the money factor. They're bringing in plenty of that, but you always want to bring in money, right? And you always want more. We're going to get your brother, our good friend Ron Slay's opinion on that. Plus, we'll talk a little NBA. Yeah, that's him. The show going to lose its roof a little when we come back on RK Dub on 104.5 The Zone. It's Ramon and Kayla with Window Nation. And, we always are looking for a good investment once we reach that age where we actually need to take care of our money, right?
Yeah.
And you want to get something in return. Well, we have some amazing news from Window Nation. You can modernize, reinvest in your home today with new windows from Window Nation. Maybe you're moving here, you bought a new home, you're remodeling your home. They've got the best deal of the year going on. You can get 0% financing for 5 years. That is pretty much unheard of. 0 interest for 5 years. And that is just a couple days left on that deal because it's only till the end of May. On top of that, Window Nation's going to give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. Everybody likes free. You can protect and increase the value of your home today. You can check them out online at windownation.com.
The best thing about this, Kayla, is this. You can make your neighbors jealous about this, okay, by increasing the value of your home by up to $12,000, too. And the best thing about Window Nation, all they do is windows. Installed over 200,000 windows last year. That's 40 times more than the average company, with 96% of them requiring no follow-up service. Over 10,000 online positive reviews. And, Kayla, you mentioned it earlier. You can save some money, man. That's just simply the best thing about it. Simply call 866-90-NATION or go online to windownation.com.
It is Ramon, Kayla, and Will, better known as Arcade Dub, bringing you back here. We're going to have our friend, his brother right there, Ramon's brother, which I still was not convinced after you told me 3 or 4 times when I first joined the show. And then you were like, no, he's really my brother. Ron Slay is really my brother.
Yeah, I dealt with the same stuff when we were coming up. Like, because if you see us, you see a bunch of the mannerisms be the same. But, like, I'm lighter skinned than he is, so you just don't see it other than the height and size and stuff. But we same dad, like same granddad, like same bloodline. And a lot of people just had a hard time believing that.
And both athletes.
And both athletes, for sure, KK. It's quite fascinating, though, on how siblings do stuff similar to, and while not even being raised in the same household, it's quite funny. But, yes, same brother. I mean, same dad. So, yeah, we're blood brothers.
So, did you ever, growing up, want to dabble in basketball at all?
Oh, heck yeah.
Okay. I didn't know. Sometimes
that was my first love.
It was?
Football, I didn't care anything about football.
I didn't know basketball was your first love.
Oh, easily, Kayla. I didn't give a damn about football. Like, I didn't. Like, I just had to have a real reality check about it because one thing was this, like, basketball is my thing. Like, my older brother, Renato, didn't play basketball. That's who I was raised with. And that's also Ron's brother, too. He didn't play, so I played. Football was his thing. I was like, let me be the best basketball player out here. Plus, I was like 6'3", 6'4" in 8th grade, so I thought I was going to be the next.
So you were tall.
I had a lot of height, in the 8th grade. So, of course, I'm playing center. Ron's at UT at the time, so I was rocking a headband just like him. Like, it was a bunch of stuff that he did that I was doing in my little hometown. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be the next him. That's where I was with it, Kayla. And what happened to me was this. 8th grade year, went to an AAU tournament in Memphis. And we had I'm talking about a really good AAU
And you
team.
had to do that. Like, AAU, you have to do if you want to be anything,
Oh,
right?
my gosh.
You got to be involved in the circuit.
All the circuits then were strictly AAU, though, so it was a big ordeal,
It's
like you
different
said.
now.
And we actually ended up winning our sectional to qualify for Disney. That's where they had the Worldwide World of Disney. We qualified for. It was crazy. The coach that was helping us raise the money to make it down there stole the money from us, and we never actually went down. Yeah.
Scandal?
We qualified for it, and he had us raise money in our hometown, and he took the money. I remember that dude. He's like a youth pastor somewhere in Memphis now.
Oh, my
I wish I was lying. Absolutely not. But basketball is my first love, and what's crazy is I went to a tournament, and there was some guys that was like 6'6" playing point guard, dunking in the pregame warm-ups because you can do that in AAU. And I was just like, I can't jump like that. As effortless as they were doing it. I don't dribble like how they dribble. I'm going to stick to football. So, like 9th grade, I got more serious about football than I ever had with basketball. But I was still first love basketball.
Because Ron go to Tennessee, did you have some kind of already things in your head like, man, I kind of want to be a Tennessee Vol too? Because I know the football program, obviously, recruiting is so much a part of it. But tradition and what your family does and the people you look up to, I feel like has a little bit of effect on where you go.
It does. But Tennessee was a strong choice of mine, but I was always open to have my options open. Ron was at UT, but he was about to leave, so I knew that was the case too. And he played a totally different sport. But also my brother Renato was at Louisville, so I had that option of just really being like, okay, keep it open for you. And my biggest thing was I didn't want to chase them like that. I wanted to create my own lane. You want to do your own thing. I've always kind of been that way. I was strongly looking at it. And Ron and I just had that conversation this weekend. Ole Miss was the conversation piece. Mississippi State was. Arkansas. We even asked that question. If I could redo it over, where would I go? Not the school that I went to. And it ended up being probably Arkansas for me.
Did you take that visit, you said?
I didn't because they wanted me. They recruited me really hard. I did not take that visit because I went to UT and it was just like, yep, this is where I need to be at. And I should have took all of my visits. I only took one, and that was to Tennessee. I was supposed to go to Michigan State, which I really fell in love with them too. And it snowed that weekend, so we couldn't even get a flight into Michigan State.
That might have been meant to be there.
It might have been. It might have been. But, yeah, basketball is my first love. So.
Oh, look who it is.
Drink.
He got his glasses on.
Yeah.
Tinted. Fresh off a long Memorial weekend.
Fresh off, Slim Slay out here.
Look at this. We were just talking about how Ramon here, his first love was basketball. I did not know that, Slay.
Yeah.
I've been listening to y'all, man.
Yeah.
I'm loving this little family tree thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I had to ask you then, once you get hooked in, like, did you want to play football first, or was it always hoops?
What?
Look at him. He says, what is this? What are you talking about? Football?
What? Man.
What?
KK, man, I was air traffic control. My nickname was ATC. You hear me? You know what I mean? I was ATC coming through. Air traffic control. Anything in the air, man, I'm grabbing it. You know what I'm saying, KK? It was short-lived, though, but I'm going to be honest, man. Because I pops, and then, you know, growing up around TSU, like it just kind of came natural. You know, I was a little older than Savage, so, you know, I was up here, and my mom was working up here, so I was around Coach Gillum, you know, while Craig Gillum, you know what I'm saying, assistant coach, while they were playing football with John Merritt, you know, so he would babysit me and take me around the track, so automatically it was in my genes, you know what I'm saying? So I loved football, and then everybody growing up here, you had Coach Fitzgerald and people of that nature that even dating all the way back to Graymore, you had people that remembered my pops from playing football. So it automatically, you know what I mean, kind of trickled down, hey, man, dude, I'm about to play football. Like,
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And honestly, I didn't want to be out there, honestly. But I loved it. Once I got out there, I was like, okay, this kind of cool.
Sure.
Then got to high school, went on with it. And I just like the transformation from my freshman to my sophomore year that came with playing football, lifting weights like that, the physicality of it. When I made it through the football season and then went to basketball, I was like, oh, this ain't nothing. Basketball, like running into people and looking for, you know how people try to avoid contact, go around them. Man, I was cool with, let's go through them. Like, I'm trying to jump over them and all of that. Honestly, that mentality, my whole mentality came from football. The entire mentality that I took to basketball
makes you more aggressive.
Ain't no question about it. Ain't no question about it.
I'm going to be honest with you. Like Ron said, going from like football to like immediately into basketball, because you do that in high school. All I wanted to do for those first 3 weeks, bang.
Yeah. And you're really wild.
Just hit people, Caleb, because I know you've been in here in this gym. And because you've been here, like, you're not ready for, I got 3 fouls first half, so what?
And I'm proud of it.
It don't matter.
Don't matter.
Yeah, they don't need me anyway. I'm just out here just run into people. But I will say this part. Football is out of control when they come onto the basketball court.
I'm sure.
It ain't no, like, they are out of control. Like, I was out of control. I'm like, come on, man, when am I going to feel my body kind of, relax a little bit and get into the basketball mode? It took a minute. It took about 2 weeks before I could jump into it. I was like, this is crazy.
What's crazy, when I go to these games, whether high school or middle school, I can always, football player. Look at me.
You can find them.
Just lawless.
They stick out like a sore thumb.
Yep.
Exactly.
You know what, real quick, Cake? Y'all conversation. So I figured this out when we were talking this weekend. Like we both probably would have ended up picking Arkansas.
Yeah, we did.
So you
which
too.
is crazy. Like, I love Nolan Richardson.
Yeah.
You got to imagine the era I came up in was early 90s, so I loved UNLV. Then Arkansas came, and it was like, whoa, wait a minute. Yeah. Corliss Williamson, a black coach. He was getting guys out of West Tennessee as well. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, whoa. Then they went up there, and they battled. They were battling Dukes and people like that. I'm like, hey, man, them boys getting down.
Yeah.
And they were letting a big man get the ball and push the break.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, that did it for me. Corliss Williamson, big nasty. When he was able to get the ball, then you had Dwight Stewart come along later, being able to shoot the trail 3 at 6'9", 240, 250. It's like, man, that's all right there. They not putting no harness on them and making them stay on the block. You know what I'm saying? He had the real stretch 4 before the stretch 4s and stretch 5. So he was, and then I like that up and down tempo.
Down.
Yeah.
So what made you ultimately say Tennessee's the spot?
One, Nolan didn't pick up the phone. And I let him know that I got the opportunity to talk to him.
You told
on the SEC Network. It was a late phone call. It was about 12:30 at night. You know what I mean? I'm telling Shooter, man, don't call that man. Now, mind you, we slick fried, you know what I mean? But he called him anyway. Nolan, he answered the phone, didn't rush him off the phone. Man, talked to him for about 30 minutes. I was like, hey, man, I'm getting out of here, dog. This man got to enjoy his weekend. But that's neither here nor there. And then what Tennessee was building.
Yeah.
Honestly, I always say, man, I'm loyal to a fault at times, So you saw at this time, Tennessee was one of the only teams to have probably 11 of the 13 players from the state of Tennessee.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
On our roster. You know what I'm saying?
That's incredible.
Yeah, and there was more before I got up there, because Brandon Warden, he led the Charger. Corey Allen, dating back to Allen Houston years. But when I went up there at Hathaway, he was McDonald's All-American.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Tony Harris from Memphis, he's McDonald's All-American. Vincent Yarbrough, Cleveland, Tennessee, McDonald's All-American. His brother, Dale Baker, they just won the state championship, went up there. Harris Walker from Chattanooga, he just went up there. Terrence Woods, Mr. Basketball, he went up there. It was like, oh, man, they building something special.
And you wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah. That was it. And then Vince was the last commit. Then our class brought in me, Harris Walker, Marcus Hayslip.
Okay.
John Higgins from Shaker Heights, Ohio, and Terrence Woods. So you had 5 come in, and we were ready to roll. And it just added to it. And it was like, man, we really gonna go up here and represent our state like this. And that meant something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and you also saw the same exact thing that football was doing.
That's what I was just going to say.
Basketball was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So, it all trickled down.
And that's what I feel like Josh Heupel right now, has a chance to do too. There is so much incredible talent coming out of Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's recruiting everywhere now here in the South, right? And you got Texas and Oklahoma joining the conference soon. But like to be able to keep some of these really good athletes in the state of Tennessee, like I feel like Josh Heupel can succeed at that.
Yeah. And I think they're not to all of the coaches. Dating back to former Coach Summit, going on to Coach Kelly, going to Barnes, going to Heupel, like you're saying. They're not afraid to be so big and diminish their light to let their student athletes recruit.
Yeah.
And that's
the
huge.
biggest thing.
Nowadays more than anything with NIL.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go do half the work for me. If I can pick up the phone and call Savage and be like, hey man, we all right up here, dog. You might want to think about this. That cut half of the work.
Sure.
You know what I mean? For the coach, he just got to go in and seal the deal. But it's all because you building the pieces around it and you getting guys to buy into whatever the culture is and what they're representing. So makes it easier. And that right there is success. And they lean on each other.
Yep.
They lean on each other. Man, you know how many conversations Foreman and Coach Summer used to have?
A ton.
You just walk in the hallway and stumble on the conversation like, oh, what's going on right here? You know what I'm saying? And then the people that didn't last were the people that didn't incorporate themselves into that structure.
That circle, that
you know
structure.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Coach Green was great with it. But at the same time, he was his own man. He was coming from a North Carolina tree. So you kind of understood that he leaned on people like George Carl, Roy Williams, Dean Smith. So you kind of understood that a little bit. Bruce Pearl, he embraced it.
He locked arms with
embraced
everybody.
it. He embraced it. And that's why it worked that way. So anybody that embraced it, it was the same thing for Conzo. If you had the blessing of Coach Summit and Coach Foreman, well, let's rock and roll.
Exactly. And that's the unique situation Tennessee is in right now, too. Look at all the success they're having with their different teams.
Yeah.
And it feels like they all kind of pick each other's brains.
Yep.
And on the women's side as well. It's just really a time where you just have to continue to build off of that.
That's right.
No
That's
doubt.
right. You're absolutely right.
Sav, speaking of building, too, and we had Coach Corbin on earlier, and he mentioned something. He mentioned a guy named Jimmy Buckets.
Yeah.
Yep.
He building. Do you think last night's game, as we talk about a little NBA real quick, last night's game was a bit too much for a team that was chasing like Boston? Did they run out of gas is what I'm asking. First time under, 90 points all year?
Yeah. I don't think they ran out of gas. I think more so of it had to deal with, and this happens, the twisting of the ankle of Jason Tatum on the first play.
You think that
I think that was that big of an impact.
I said that. I brought
It was
that
that big
up.
of an impact.
Yep.
Because you got a guy that's averaging 30.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Whether he's shooting good or not shooting good, that's 30 points you can depend on. And you look at the difference in the score. You know what I'm saying? So that changes not only the score, but it changes the pace of the game and everything. Like, he's the rebounder, and a lot of times when Tatum gets the rebound, everybody else just runs.
Yeah.
He couldn't push it up the court, so that changes the dynamic where he has to pass it. Ball comes out his hands, it's in another playmaker's hand. Now he's kind of like,
he can't move the way he wants.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that takes something from the game. Not to make an excuse, but that is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think Miami did a great job of taking advantage of that, and they attacked them.
Spo said it, though.
Yeah.
We watched that post game, did we not? And Spoelstra was just like, you said it before he did.
Yep.
He said, what?
Right now.
I'm ready to play right now.
Yeah, I wish we could tip off right now and play another 48. And that's the mentality, but that's the mentality of the Heat. When you talk about building, I would have loved everything about the game last night, especially the post game when they handed out the Larry Bird Trophy, which is the MVP of the conference finals.
Right.
If Jimmy Butler would have took the mic, but he's zeroed in on the Larry O'Brien championship trophy.
Exactly. He's got bigger
without
goals.
question.
Yeah. Yes.
I just would have loved he would have turned around and said, you know what, man, I really appreciate this award, but man, I got to give this to Udonis Haslem and Caleb Martin.
Yeah.
Because man, like, Jimmy is no question centerpiece. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
None.
They do not have the season they're having without Udonis Haslem and Caleb Martin.
Yeah.
From the mental standpoint of UD and Caleb Martin, what he brought off the bench, losing Tyler Hero, like and having guys like Strus go cold, Duncan Robinson not be able to make shots. Man, this man was so steady.
Yeah.
Jimmy Butler led him with 28.
Caleb Martin.
Caleb Martin had 26 and 10.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? This is a guy that got thrust into the lineup because Kevin Love, they stopped playing. They stopped playing Kevin Love. Yeah. Kevin Love's a really good player and stretched the flow. Man, coaching, man. You got to trust in what you got. You got to trust in what you got. Pat Riley did a great job of handpicking Spo, and there you go.
And that's the thing. I do want to dive a little bit deeper into just the coaching aspect in the NBA. Like, how underrated is Spoelstra just being a guy that's kind of been consistent? This could be the year. And I feel like he's kind of doing it now without so much breathing down his neck, right? So I want to talk about that. And we're talking about stretching an SEC schedule to possibly 9 games. So getting your opinion, being an athlete, that's coming up next on RK Dub here on 104.5 The Zone.
If you have a wet basement or crawl space, it's time to call the folks that I trust, and that's United Structural Systems. We've all heard about these guys for a long time, and for good reasons, and that's because they've served Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they've helped thousands satisfy residential customers in that time. And if you don't want to believe me, listen to some of the folks that's had work done by them, from Jerry in Hermitage. On April 4th of this year, this is what he said, this is the best crew we have ever had do work on our house. Best I have ever seen. Very professional and did an excellent job. Okay, that's just one. Okay, let's go to Chris K, who's also had work done on April 14th of this year. Chris K said this: the crew that worked on our house has been top notch. I appreciate the integrity, speed of feedback, and quality of work provided by all who have worked with us. Amazing, okay? The team at United Structural Systems will figure out any issues you have and will give you a decision to get it fixed. It's what they do. So do like I do and others have. Get that free estimate from the people I trust. You can go to USSTN.com. That's USSTN.com, or you can call them at 615-227-2275. United Structural Systems.
Welcome back to Arcade Dub. Our guy Ron Slay
Yeah.
in the building.
Yeah, I'm in the building.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're talking a little NBA. Obviously, the big Game 7 last night. And I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit about Eric Spoelstra and just maybe how underrated he is with those that aren't NBA. I mean, NBA people kind of know him, right? NBA guys know him. You know him being a basketball dude. But as a coach, like, he's done a lot for that organization.
Yeah.
How much do you say, hey, he's a big reason why they're there?
I give him, he wouldn't take this, but I give him 80 to 85% of the reason.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And that's involved in that 80 to 85% is the culture that was in place when he was able to take over. Like, I remember him being in the film room when Stan Van Gundy had him. So when I came out, we were getting ready for Summer League. Van Gundy was doing the Summer League, and that's when the D-Wade draft, they got Shaq in the trade, so they transitioned from Van Gundy to Pat Riley. And all this time, Spoelstra was always around practices, always doing the film, this, that, and the other. Stand after with player development for guys. So he really worked his way up. It wasn't a situation where he was dropped in it and didn't understand, like, what guys look like before getting in the gym. What are they doing as far as training? What are they doing as far as eating? What are they doing in the weight room? He really understood every single step because he went through the entire process of when Coach Riley got there. So he was able to go into his shadow, and then when he stepped out of the way, kind of just filled right in. And it was more so about the culture of being yourself and being true to who you are. And that right there will supersede everything else. And I think that's what they were able to run with. That's why I think they are where they are. That's why you see guys on the bench like Udonis Haslem. That's why you don't hear about problems in Miami.
Yeah.
Right. Now that's saying a whole lot.
It is.
When you look at, the things that's going on in LA, and then you look at Memphis, and you're like, okay, now why is this going on in Memphis, but it's not going on in Miami or LA?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's because of the culture and things that are in place because of that. LA has veterans around. They may not be on the team, but you also always got Magic hovering around. You always got D Wades and Alonzo Mournings, Tim Hardaways, and now Udonis sitting on the bench. That's what it was, and they keep that in there so you can always have that connection. We were talking about that this weekend. That's something more professional teams should do.
Yeah,
you got to go with the young thing for sure to have them come in, and because that's where the potential lies. That's where the future is. But it's nothing like when that coach walks away, you still have somebody to be able to hold it accountable in that locker room and still feel like, oh, man, we can't even. We got to be cool, man, because the vet here. You know what I'm saying? Even if he ain't playing.
Yeah.
It's wild,
value
man.
in
Every
that,
bit
too.
of it. Every bit of it.
For a guy like Spo, though, too, and we spoke about it just a little bit, but for the guys that aren't player, because we went through that a little bit with our offensive coordinator, Coach Haley, Ty Haley, wasn't a football player.
Yep.
Spoelstra wasn't an NBA player.
Right.
How do you get picked by Pat Riley to be the coach?
Man.
Because he's most teams have player coaches now. Somebody that was in that building on the court.
One thing I think in Coach Riley's situation, like he did play basketball, played in the league, had a good career, good job at Kentucky, but he saw it when he was in L.A.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That job, in a sense, stumbled up on him kind of the same way Spoelstra was given his opportunity. So he kind of looked in the mirror on this and was like, if you would go back and look at, I forgot the name of that little Lakers documentary, The Dynasty, it talks about how Pat Riley was able to end up getting that job and how he worked his way through and his relationship with players. So he kind of saw a splitting image in a sense of himself in Spoelstra. That's what I believe.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why it was easier for him to transition if you do the work. That's one thing about the Miami Heat culture. Without question. I remember going there on my workout, and John Lucas called me before I was going in. I was like, "Luke, man, what's your advice, man? Like, what I gotta go with?" He said, "Just go hard."
Yeah.
I was like, "Man, okay. So when I get out there to shooting drill, should I just go at my own pace?" He said, "Just go hard. Just keep it rolling.
Sure.
Like, do not settle down. Go full steam."
Yeah.
And it worked. You know what I'm saying? The next day, I got back and was supposed to leave. They said, "Hey, man, we changed your flight. You want to come in and work out tomorrow?" Just because you went extremely hard. It didn't. Dude, they different. Like it's different than every other NBA team. I promise you that. I promise you. You feel it when you walk in the facility.
Yeah.
So that's what it is, man. You got to go out there and be yourself and just, man, go 100%. If you don't go 100%, they will weed you out. Ain't no question.
Something that almost happened to you this weekend is you almost didn't watch the game in English, man. What's up with the Spanish?
I know, I saw
that.
that.
Hey, man, I don't know what happened, man. Somebody tried to play a little trick on me or
That
something.
happens sometimes, though. I don't know what
Out of
gets
nowhere.
clicked out of, yeah.
And then I was because it was just about to be jump ball. Now, when it's about to be jump ball, I need the whole atmosphere right. You know,
gotta have it right.
Yeah, because the announcers, they're going to set it up. You got Stan Van Gundy, Reggie Miller, and Harlan. They finna set it up right to walk into the jump ball. And then it was a Spanish dude started speaking. I'm like, hey, man. Hey, man, who put this on my TV, man? I ain't even been nowhere.
That's great.
And it took me about 3 or 4 minutes to be like, okay, let me go check the settings.
Sure.
And somehow it had switched to Spanish. So,
But it came back, right?
It came back,
Okay.
but about 3 or 4 minutes, I was out of it. Like, that's why I started tweeting about it. Like,
Sure.
is anybody else having this problem? Like, what's going on out
I
here?
saw that tweet.
Dude,
I was laughing
I
so
was
hard.
sick, man. Because so I'm calling some games, you know what I mean, now. So
Yeah.
I try to pick up on little things, you know, to catch the energy and stuff.
Of course.
I'm like, I can't catch nothing by listening to Buddy.
You
know
need
what I mean?
Rosetta Stone for that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I expect them to holler out, goal at any minute. Like, Pansy, what you doing on my screen?
What you doing?
Yeah, you know
Real
what I'm
quick
saying?
before we let you go, who gets it done in the finals? Denver, Miami.
Man, I tweeted out before the game started last night, Kay. I said, man, my money bet with Boston.
Yeah.
My heart bet with Miami.
Okay.
Denver is the better team.
Yep.
It ain't no ifs, ands, or buts. They have the best player in Jokic as far as impact goes on one end of the floor. I just don't know if you can slow him down enough.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think Bam can get it done. I would love to be wrong because I would love UD to get one walking out on this victory tour. But, man, I'm going to have to pick Denver. I do think it's going 6, though. But
yeah, I
hope
so.
I'm shocked. I don't want to bet against Miami.
I just want it to be a good series.
I think
That's
it
what
will
I
be.
want it to be.
I think it will be. And I think it's going to be Jokic is going to do what Jokic does.
Yeah.
I think it's going to rely on the backcourt. Miami has people that can guard. Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Can they defend them? Michael Porter Jr. for Denver. X Factor.
Watch out.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for a Tuesday edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We thank our guest, Tim Corbin, for jumping on. Ron Slay, of course. And guess what? We'll be back for another round tomorrow. But in the meantime, Ramon, you got some words.
Well, no doubt
of
about
advice.
it. In the words of our fellow brother, Ron Slay, the sweet life. The sweet life. But if you're not living the sweet life, you must remember your IG live, your Twitter fingers, and your mic is always hot.